Marco. Marco. Come on, Marco. Fuck him.
Let's go.
Marco. Play it some more, Marco.
Thumbs up the team.
Remember, Marco? You know everything. Remember, Marco? You know everything.
That's haram.
We are back. We are back again. Luda. Anywho, what do y'all think about, listen, what do y'all think about me having another episode of the stream with Dominic Izzo? I'm going to just start it off like that. What do you think about me having a follow-up with Dominic Izzo? Because I think we would find a lot more common ground with each other now that several of the people in the anti-MLM community have canceled me because I said that Trump was a good public speaker on my stream called 60K subscriber celebration. I said a couple nice things about Trump. I didn't vehemently demonize everything about, you know, him and every single hair on his head. So I was canceled by, you know, it was too triggering for some of the anti-MLM community, and they said they can't in good faith support me anymore because it's not something that should be joked about. So maybe because during our first debate, Dominic harped so much on the, you know, women in the anti-MLM community, and that was in February, March, April, it's been like 4 months. I think maybe we could, I think maybe we could have a nice time. We could have a nice time. Also, regarding this thumbnail that you guys are seeing, Scott Johnson and Peter Mingils, it appears they have completely given up. I was following along with some of their most recent episode of BFR, which is live right now. There's 8 minutes left, and they have not directly mentioned me once. They have made some references to creators and YouTubers, but they have not directly referenced me once.
And unfortunately, Home Advisor's got to be able to defend against that with all the manipulation the FTC will throw at it. But read it. At least you get an idea of what they're alleging. But don't believe everything that you hear and whatever you read based on the FTC writing it. So back to you, Scott.
Yeah, in particular, don't believe that it's the total story. You know, what you hear from the FTC may or may not be true, but it's definitely not the whole story. They're not going to say anything that would be exculpatory towards whoever they're going after. You know, they're all focused in on criticizing whatever's happening, not giving the full picture. And so once you get the full picture, when you get the view from the other side and you go, oh, well, gee, that was kind of taken out of context, FTC, you know, it wasn't really as bad as you made it sound, because
they're not talking about anything.
When I heard the rest of the story, you know, it just wasn't that bad of a situation. So definitely take it with a huge grain of salt when you read an FTC anything. And the same thing when you hear a defendant side, right? When the FTC sues somebody and you're listening to what the defendant has to say, take that with a grain of salt too, because both sides do it, right? They're both trying to promote.
Boring. When they don't talk about me, so boring. Dude, I swear I have never sat and listened to a full episode of Building Fortunes Radio, the Scott Johnson show, unless it was like on a stream and I was reacting to it. That was the only saving grace, was that I was making content out of it and people were having fun with it. I swear to God, they have quite literally given up.
That's the nature of our system. But you have to get the whole picture first. You can't just look at one side or the other and say.
And by the way, I will let you know, I have some new information from one of my spies about Scott Johnson. It turns out, after all, Scott does not actually live in Plano, Texas. He lives in Waco, Texas. And one of my spies has informed me of Scott's updated address, because I know they still watch my stream anyways. Scott's updated address, which I will not say because, of course, I'm not going to dox him. Scott's updated address, I have seen the house, okay? The previous house wasn't too bad, in my opinion. The current house that he lived in, I'm not going to reveal too much about who my spy is or what information they gave me, but one of my spies, different spy than the one that found the picture of him, one of my spies has uncovered some documents online that show that in 2022, Scott Johnson basically refinanced his entire life and moved from Plano to Waco. And the new house that he lives in, I have to say, is a dump. This is a guy who has been talking for the past 2 years almost nonstop about how about how I'm going to be living in a box, I'm going to be homeless, I'm going to be working at McDonald's or whatever it is that they say about me. And one of my very reputable spies finds me these documents that show that he was in a ton of debt in 2022 and refinanced everything and has now downsized into an abysmal living situation. I love it. Let's finish off the episode here.
Yeah, that's the worst thing you could ever hear. Yep.
Yeah, you can't trust them, period. I mean, we've seen that over the years in government in general. You know, forget about just the FTC, just the government in general, and certainly the FTC specifically also. You know, I mean, as just one example, for 40 years, for 4 decades, they misused a Section 13B of
Boring!
the law, the FTC law.
Who gives a fuck about Section 13B? Pussy!
The Supreme Court got involved,
Boring.
After a lawsuit was started and it bubbled up to that level. And 9-0, they said, hey, FTC, you've been screwing up for 40 years. Stop doing that.
So fucking
boring.
Yeah,
it's definitely, they don't play fair. Let's just put it that way. They do not play fair. Yeah, you mentioned Family First Life, and we get a lot of our stories from this website. They do a great job of finding and tracking these stories that come out. And it's called BehindMLM.com. So it's all one word, BehindMLM.com. And I'm looking at this Family First Life story that you mentioned. It is at the top here. Now, we don't talk about all the stories. There's a bunch of stories we never
Scott, give it up, bro. Scott, I'm going to make you a good faith gesture here. I offer to thee, Scott Tex Johnson, totally serious, not even being ironic about this. I will teach you for free how to set up a high quality audio podcast on YouTube. More accessible. You'll get more people checking it out. There's actually a comment section, unlike whatever the fuck is going on this site. And it will be much better quality, and it'll be easier, and you can completely cut Peter out of the picture. You can stop paying Peter. Aww. So if you would like that, please let me know, and I will do that for you for free, because it sucks to see that. I mean, now I know you're not even enjoying this. Now you're paying Peter for the show. Well, I guess you've been doing it like 12 fucking years or however long you've been doing it. Now you're back to paying Peter for this show, and you're not even having fun with it, bro.
Illegal. If they said that, then they could probably make some ground. But
Section 13B, come on, bro. I know you're not having fun with talking about Section 13B.
He was a June 9th, 2023, which is yesterday. Now, these guys are in Taiwan that have this website, so sometimes you'll see a date on this website that's tomorrow, and that's why, because they're ahead of us by several hours. So the headline is Family First Life settles Sue Scum robocall fraud lawsuit.
Boring!
Before the show, we were talking about this name, Sue Scum. It turned out, it looks like it's a legitimate name. It's just a crazy coincidence that somebody's name is Sue Scum, and they went after this Family First Life robocall. This particular story is they settled a lawsuit Now, they settled other lawsuits, and you'll see it in this story on Behind MLM, but there's also some lawsuits that are still open, and I was kind of digging into this during the week a little bit, and there's a website out there that I found, and it's a insurance-wide focused website, so not just MLM, but just insurance companies in general, and they had, I think it was like 74 postings, and some of them are really long, so I didn't read anywhere near all of them, but I kind of skimmed them to get a feel for it. And one of the things that Family First Life is being accused of doing, because I don't think they've been... being boring. How is he going to wrap this whole episode up in 25 seconds? Look at the clock. By the way, thumbs up the ting, you guys. Come on. Thumbs up the ting.
Only half of y'all have done it. Thumbs up the stream. Let's get it. Let's get this bag.
Because if it wasn't true, you would fight it, right? But it looks like at least some of these lawsuits involve repeated phone calls. And we're talking like 40, 50 times a day calling the same person, trying to get them, to buy insurance. And just pure harassment, over and over and over again. And apparently, again, according to the lawsuit,
how is it not over?
They're targeting people in their 60s, probably because they realize that that's the age where, people are...
So fucking boring. So I don't even, I wanted to do this stream to talk about Scott and Peter. And, in the past, I would usually talk about multiple different things in a live stream. And then I would just put the chapters later so that people who clicked on it could see that main story. And then a bunch of other ones. For example, I had a stream here called, let's see. I had a stream called Help Me Take Down WFG. And if you click it, you'll see that actually only the first 15 minutes are about WFG, and then the rest is me reacting to an episode of Losing Fortunes Radio. So I have no qualms about doing that again. I would prefer, of course, to keep the whole stream on one topic because I have 3 streams to fill in a week. But also, I don't mind because in light of the circumstances where Scott and Peter aren't even talking about me anymore, bro. Oh, now it's not working. Oh, now now it's not even working. Oh, they just finished. How did they finish? It's still processing. Wow. I can't believe this. I show his face one time. Dude, this guy, Scott Johnson, literally sent an email to every single person. He CC'd every single person that was involved with the MLM conference back in March. And he even sent an email to like the Border Patrol, Homeland Security of the United States saying that I was a drug dealer so that he could get me stopped at the border. And I did get stopped. I got stopped and questioned, and I almost missed my connecting flight thanks to that. And all I do is show what he looks like one time, and after that, they go completely silent? Where's the fucking... No, that's the Ray Higdon. And they go completely... I cannot believe this. I cannot believe that only... This can't be right. I'm going to refresh the screen. 74 of you have clicked like out of 128. There's no way. There's no way that my cult has become so disloyal in no time at all. They really broke up with me, bro. This is crazy. Oh, my God. I can't believe this. I cannot believe this. Really hurts me, bro, for real. I know he wants to talk about me so bad. I could just feel it. Let's see. Somebody didn't want me on. Somebody doesn't want me. I saw this comment. Janet says, I don't want Dom B-Cup Santa Izzo back. He was horrible and allowed to just say whatever. This is true, but I mean, if he wasn't allowed to say whatever, then I would have been accused of like having a not level playing field and whatever. So, I don't know. We could vote on it. Or if I do it, you could just not watch it. I don't know. I really can't believe motherfuckers canceled me. Honestly, it was only one person who canceled me in the anti-MLM scene. It was only one person who canceled me, and a couple other people who followed suit because of that person like publicly going off about me, even though I was a gentleman and I never said who the person was. To this day, I've never said who it was. And they went and made it a whole thing where it was like pretty obvious who they were talking about. But still, I'm a gentleman. I'm taking the high road and not going to war because that would look bad on the overall message of anti-MLM as a whole. But I will say I do think it is nothing short of madness when people feel like they have to take a stance, you know, like as though it's a PR move. Like, bro, nobody here is famous, okay? It's not that deep. Y'all feel like you have to take a stance because I said something nice about Trump. Think about it. Imagine you were an alien looking down on Earth and like trying to understand the dynamics. And you were like, wait, so that human, it now no longer supports that human because that other human said something nice about a celebrity who neither of them have ever met or will meet?
Can I get in? OBAMNA.
Obama.
Thank you, Isaac. Thank you.
You're fucking poor.
So, it's all good, I guess. It's all good. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, I never had a problem growing my channel. First of all, I never did one collab prior to me getting like 50,000 subscribers. So really, it is not that deep. I was able to do that completely by myself, making my infiltrating a pyramid scheme videos and doing my thing. It was only after I took a year off and I came back that I thought, you know what? We would be even stronger together. And that lasted literally, like in the grand scheme, if you were, you know, no time at all, basically. Fuck. You know? Jokes is jokes, man. It's all good. It's all good. And I'm not going to say who it was, but I mean, I just can't imagine. Isn't it a stressful life? Wouldn't that be a stressful life to live? That everything you see on your phone or on your screen, you think like, what's my stance on this? Like, you can never just chill. You can never just have a nice time. You know what I mean?
Damn, I miss Scott and Peter. Come to my birthday party after the stream.
Thank you, Alex. Congratulations. Happy birthday to you. Congrats on making it another year longer.
Billions and billions.
Discord, I'm guessing that's where she's referring to her birthday party. So Discord link is in the chat. Okay, let me see. I wonder if Glenn posted a new video about Scott and Peter. I really can't let them go. It hurts my heart. Scott and Peter. I had to put that picture of Peter in the t-shirt, that mugshot in the thumbnail tonight. Let me see. Here we go. MLM is fraud. Do they have any new videos? Oh, 22 minutes ago. Ooh, Scott on Peter Mingils' reaction to Always Marco face reveal. Okay, we got some new. Let's check it out. Okay, let me see. No, Kylie, chill. I'm not going to say who it is. I'm not going to say who it was. Mars says, I'm waiting for someone to go to dinner, but I'm spending my time in the car with y'all. Aw, thank you. Y'all like that Ray Higdon sound? I got to use that more. I forgot about that. I forgot I added that. Holy fuck, an alien. I need the P dribble soundbite too, and Paz, so true. Scott is a loser. Scott Johnson has told Glenn Peter Mingils' reaction to Marco. LOL. Okay, let me see. One person canceled and the rest followed. This is true. This is true. And also, by the way, the hypocrisy is these people all loved my Trump impression. These people all loved my
Obama.
And like the sound effects. They all liked when I was like blatantly poking fun at Trump. But when I even dared to say something nice, not even about him as a person, just about like his ability at public speaking. Jesus, bro, chill the fuck out. You know? Anywho. Whatever. Y'all gonna push me all the way to the right now. Y'all gonna push me all the way. Now I'm about to be a full Trump supporter. Also, I'm Canadian, like the irony. So, okay, I'm reading your comments. It was not CC Suarez. No, it was not. Peace out, Mars. Marco, you're fired. All right. And they loved it when you called Jessica Higdon a cunt. So true. So true. All right, let's check out Glenn's video with Scott. 43 seconds. Glenn, you have to stop this, bro. I don't know what sort of content strategy this is, like posting little clips, but damn, bro.
Well, Peter, really doesn't care about my face because it's not him, nor should he. So, there was no reaction to my face being posted. And as far as Marco playing some of his videos, those are just basically troublemakers. And Peter has a real business to run. And so he did not take the videos down. He made them private so that only people that he wants to have the links can get to the links. That's basically, what Peter did and why he did it.
Okay, so the fact that Scott is still going on Glenn's channel and making comment about me and about the meta of the whole situation is, to me, further proof that basically everyone's theories are correct, that it is Peter's decision. It is, even though it's called The Scott Johnson Show on Building Fortunes Radio, Peter has, that's Big Daddy to Scott Johnson. So Peter has put his foot down and said, no more talking about Marco on the channel because I think his feelings were just hurt. I reacted to his YouTube channel. I mean, Scott and Peter are the two most thin-skinned, insecure people I've ever come across or even heard about in my life. So it makes sense to me. But the fact that Scott is still commenting on it on Glenn's channel would be proof to me that it was Peter's decision. It's Peter's decision to not talk about me anymore on the show, and that if it was up to Scott, he would be. So I'm going to actually try to get Glenn on. Let me message Glenn right now, actually. I'm going to message Glenn because Glenn, I actually had messaged him a few weeks ago trying to get him on here. And let me see. Let me just call him. Let me just outright call him on Facebook. Oh, it's calling. I'm calling Glenn. What up, Julie? He hired and fired himself from the beef. Hilarious. Nuance or critical thinking? Nah, let's assimilate, right, Silica?
Hello?
Glenn, can you hear me?
How we doing?
Good. I just want you to know I'm calling you sort of out of the blue. I'm live on my channel right now.
Yeah, I'm watching it.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, are you down to talk?
Absolutely, yeah.
Welcome, Glenn. Yes. We got Glenn on the
show. You guys.
Yeah, we got Glenn on the show. How can I do this? You're okay with people seeing the band live export like avatar, right? I won't show any of your okay. I just want to make sure I'm not showing any of your like personal info here because this is Facebook. All right. Nope, that ain't it. 1 second. Glenn, how are you, sir?
Doing well.
Yes. All right, here we go. We're here with Glenn. Glenn, I just want to, I know I told you this privately in our own one-on-one call a few weeks ago, but I haven't got a chance to tell you in front of the people, but you are a G for checking Scott and Peter and not backing down on their show anytime you've been on there. So big up to you for that.
Appreciate that.
What are you doing right now? Is it morning over there?
Yeah, it's it's 11:45.
Okay. Scott always loves to correct you on the time.
He does. Yeah, I always confuse it. It's disappointing though because I was meant to be going on with Scott Peter midweek, and then Peter pulled the pin on that. So me and Scott just had a chat.
Explain that. What happened?
He just said that Peter wasn't keen on doing the midweeks ones anymore. I called them this morning to try and get on, and they said they had they had other things they needed to talk about.
Like
So,
what? They talk about the same thing every day.
Well, I tried to press him, but yeah, Scott wasn't backing down. So, yeah, me and Scott are going to talk some more this week. But yeah, I'm struggling to get on to the actual show. But I'm managing to get on. Yeah, Scott's coming on the channel, but that's about it.
They're trying to push you out, bro. What the heck?
Yeah, it's disappointing. I don't know why, because Scott told me that Peter is unconcerned about the face reveal.
Right.
And Scott told me that he's unconcerned about the face reveal and that it already happened before. Other people have done it yet. So I'm not really sure what's happening. But I feel like we're having some good debates. They're actually keen to debate me on, I'm going to defend Robert Fitzpatrick. So I've been doing quite a bit of research on that.
Oh, yeah? Did you read Ponzionomics?
I've listened to about half of it.
Nice.
So, but I've watched pretty much everything that Peter's ever put onto YouTube. So
Confirm.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex, for the dono again. Damn, bro. So, I mean, you obviously heard Scott say that Ponzionomics was the worst book he's ever read.
Yeah, it's amazing because me and Scott agree massively on the Amway tool scam, but then when it comes to Robert Fitzpatrick, we're just completely we couldn't be any more. We're like ideologically opposed. But I thought it was interesting. Scott's view is that the reason why Robert Fitzpatrick is number one is because he was on the scene first. But there was lots of people that wrote books and stuff long before Robert.
Correct.
Robert's first book was in like 97. There was a guy, the first book I could find was in 1982.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, Robert isn't the first, but I mean, he is the most known. He has the most like media appearances, I guess, in terms of like mainstream coverage of multi-level marketing. So, but I think I notice a trend where Scott has something bad to say about everybody who has more influence than him, which is basically everybody.
Yeah, he gets very angry at people that don't talk about the Amway tool scam. But what I tried to say to Scott was that Robert Fitzpatrick is talking about the MLMs as a whole. So the Amway tool scam is very unique to Amway. No other MLM company has a tool scam that is as large as what Amway does. So that's the reason why Robert Fitzpatrick doesn't talk about the Amway tool scam, because it doesn't really apply to the other MLMs. I think what happened with Amway was you had a couple of guys like Dexter Yeager and Bill Britt who created this unbelievably big tool scam. The Amway founders thought tools were nothing. And then what happened was they couldn't rein it in, because if they reined it in, Dexter Yeager and Bill Britt would have walked and taken all their downlines to other MLMs. So the other MLMs have learnt from that error that Amway made.
Yeah, I get that. Damn, so I want to ask you about these clips you've been uploading. I am fiending for a full-length video, but all you've been putting up is short clips. So is there a full call that exists?
Yeah, we're going to do it. The one you saw this morning, what actually happened was my computer stopped working, so I could actually hear him talking, but I couldn't hear me talking, which was disappointing.
Oh, no.
But this week I'm going to give you guys like a long one.
Nice. Yeah, because you're effectively Scott's only remaining outlet for talking about always stupid Narco, the Marco Mucha Bear, the Mooch the Goon, the Shyster. So Building Fortunes Radio, they're not doing it on the Scott Johnson show anymore because of Peter's request. But
I hope not. I'm going to be urging both Scott and Peter to, I really want to. We're still only halfway through me defending your FTC. You're not FTC. Your speech at the MLM conference.
Right.
So I'm really keen to finish that, and I'm even keener to defend Robert Fitzpatrick. They're gonna tear him down, and I'm gonna defend him. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask Robert about this if I can share this. But Robert sent something to me and a few others called the Anti-MLM Declaration, and it is written by Robert, and it is basically a document that is designed to sort of outline what the what the goal is of the sort of anti-MLM community and try to get it more organized as opposed to being, you know, what it is now, which is more of like an amorphous, random, just groups of random individuals making videos and talking about MLM. So he has written this anti-MLM declaration with like key points, and it's a pretty short document. It's only a couple pages, but I'm not sure if he wanted me to share that or not, but I want to ask him if I can do that, because I think that is something that perhaps would be a good talking point for you and Scott Johnson.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. Actually, my view for a long time has been, I think the main problems why at the MLM industry is still legal is because these MLM companies have donated millions and millions of dollars to all sides of politics. I think what we need to focus on is pointing out the politicians that are taking the money off the MLM companies, and then we need to encourage everybody listening, contact this politician and let them know what you think of them receiving a donation from this MLM company. We've got to make the politicians know that if you take money from MLM companies, this will lose your votes, and people know you're doing it. Because at the moment, the politicians, I don't think they're aware of how many people hate the MLM industry. They just see them as an easy way to get money.
Right. No, totally.
So I feel like that needs to be sort of the focus rather than just, what we're currently doing.
Yeah, so your recommendation would be to sort of publicize which politicians are getting MLM money?
Absolutely. Someone like Bill Clinton was paid millions of dollars to make speeches for the Amway Corporation. What should have happened then was people should have been ringing his office nonstop saying, stop taking money off Amway. Amway are frauds. They're defrauding people. Stop supporting Amway. If you support Amway, I'm not going to vote for you anymore. And if enough people had done that, Bill Clinton would have stopped the Amway promotion. But he's not. Every single politician in the US, every single party is taking money off these evil companies. I think we really need to point them out one by one and just urge people to stop voting for them.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good thing to do, and I do think that is the future, and I agree that should be a next step. I agree with you on that, but I think we are still in the raising public awareness stage of the fight. I really do, because
absolutely, yeah,
there are still so many people, unfortunately, who think that a pyramid scheme has no product and an MLM has a product, or how is a network marketing? Isn't that the same thing as direct sales? Isn't that the same thing as affiliate marketing? There are people who still think these things, and again, I said this yesterday on the stream actually, that this is all part of a very effective, basically propaganda campaign by the MLM industry to change the meaning of words in the public's nomenclature, the public zeitgeist, if you will, of how they discuss MLM. They want you. They've made up these terms: multi-level marketing, network marketing. I don't know if you've got to the part in Robert's book yet where he talks about how to say you are anti-MLM is kind of a silly thing, because you would never say you're anti-murder. It's just a given that it is wrong. So, I think we're still in the public awareness stage, though, and I think my biggest, the best thing I could do to contribute to that is just keep making videos, keep doing deep dives on individual companies one by one until it is pretty clear that there is a through line amongst all of them.
But the problem is, when I joined Amway, when my father joined Amway, we weren't joining an MLM company. We were joining A2K. This was internet shopping. This was the future. This was e-commerce. This is the problem. The MLM companies are constantly changing their names and how they promote themselves. No one goes up and says, come join Amway. They say, come join this e-commerce company. Come join this internet shopping company. They're constantly changing. Like Amway's been Quickstar, it's been A2K. They're constantly changing their name. So this is where they're very, very clever and cunning. The cunningness of these companies is really, I think people underestimate how cunning and clever they are.
No, for sure. It is very cunning, and it's also very slippery, because when one company is shut down, it's like the scene in Hercules fighting the Hydra, right? Like he cuts off one head and two more grow in its place. One company gets shut down, and by the time it is shut down, and the FTC gives them, a little slap on the wrist or maybe makes them pay a fine, and it's not even a criminal charge, then the leaders of that company, the top recruiters, have already gone and started their own companies. I did a stream a couple months ago showing David E. Monetier, who has had a long history of promoting MLM schemes as well as outright Ponzi schemes with OneCoin. He's now gone on to start his own new company called Envision You, which covers everything from health products to how to rent Airbnb to how to rent out Turo, like vehicles, to e-commerce to crypto. Like, it's literally an all-in-one MLM. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, it is absolutely insane. Yeah, they go from one to another, and that's why I think Amway knew we can't stop the tool scam, because if we do, Dexter Yeager and Bill Britt, these guys will just go to other ones, our competitors, and they will take everybody with them. But yeah, I feel like the key is education, definitely, especially for younger people. I think most people that get in, they get a lot of 18-year-olds who just don't know what it is. That's probably the key. And just, the politicians, we've got to let the politicians know that if you support MLMs, we don't support you. And I think we need to really target a few marginal seats, roll a few politicians with marginal seats who are taking huge money off MLM companies, supporting MLM companies. These MLM companies, they'll get politicians to attend rallies and stuff. George Bush used to go to Amway rallies.
Yep, Trump ACN.
It's insane. But it's hard to tell someone. That was my dad's argument. Well, if this was a pyramid scheme, do you really think that George Bush would be going to an Amway meeting? Do you think Bill Clinton would be going to an Amway meeting? And it's a pretty good argument, because it's pretty hard to believe that the president of the United States would support a scam, but that's literally what's happened for the last 50 years.
Well, I don't think it's a good argument, actually, because Bill Gates, George Bush was also friends with Kenneth Lay, the CEO of Enron, and Enron turned out to be a scam. And George Bush also, I know this was more of a Dick Cheney thing, if you've seen the movie Vice, where Christian Bale plays Dick Cheney, but invading Iraq and the whole Middle East campaign, which we all know now was all about oil, and there was no weapons of mass destruction or whatever else. So it doesn't seem too crazy now, but yeah, totally, at the time, I can see why your dad would have said something like that.
Yeah, that's for someone paying attention. For the 18-year-old kid who doesn't know anything about politics,
right?
It's a pretty good argument for the 18-year-old kid that Ronald Reagan supported Amway, Bill Clinton supported Amway, George Bush has supported Amway. Therefore, it couldn't possibly be a scam. I mean, just imagine if you were to make a movie about a company or an industry buying off all the political parties. It would be seen as just it's too far-fetched.
Of course.
But it's literally, that's what's happened. These companies, these MLM companies, have bought off political party one by one by one by one.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's almost like what the Nazis would say, that you get away with the big lies because they're too hard to believe.
Yeah.
You get caught on the small lies.
Yeah. There's a part, I don't want to give away too much, but there's a part in my new video where I'm monitoring this Zoom call, and the Zoom is like a training for the company and teaching you how you can how you should recruit new people. And in the presentation, the woman giving the presentation says, and just like you do this, you do this, you do this, and just like that, you can make $18,000 in your first month. And the actual income disclosure from this company showed that the average earnings annually were $8,410 for the entire year. And she's talking about making $18K in your first month. And so the big lie, that's that term that Hitler coined in his book Mein Kampf, and it is a lie so colossal that no one would believe someone could have, quote, the impudence to distort the truth so infamously. So yeah, telling a lie so ridiculous that no one would even question it, because there's no way that someone else could have been so crazy to even say it in the first place. And yeah, that's exactly what, it's sort of like the whole Santa Claus thing. It's like, I remember my nieces, I hope there's no kids listening to this, but my nieces this past Christmas, my one niece was 7, and she was like, some kid at school told me Santa isn't real. And I was like, oh, that's ridiculous, because she's a kid, right? And she's like, yeah, like, what do they think? The parents go out in the middle of the night and buy the gifts? And I laughed because it was such a cute, like, innocent way of her trying to, like, that was her level of critical thinking at that, as a 7-year-old. But yeah, it's sort of like, how many people would have to be in on it type of thing. And when you when anyone comes out to say something against MLM, you're immediately on the back foot and you immediately look like the crazy one because, so many supposedly legitimate institutions and politicians are supporting the industry.
And that's exactly what they do at Amway meetings. They laugh and they mock and they ridicule people who say it. They say, I've actually heard people say this. So you're telling me Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton, they're all in on this big scheme. They're all supporting a pyramid scheme. Right. And then the people will just laugh at you like you're the biggest idiot who ever lived.
You know better than them, huh, Glenn?
Well, that was always my dad's line. You know more than Robert Kiyosaki. And then you just laugh his head off like I was saying the most ridiculous thing ever. But actually, mock and ridicule is one of their best tools. I remember a guy on stage, he said, I always get asked this question. There's always one ignorant person at the end of every meeting. He comes up and he says, who buys the stuff? And then he's gone, I'll tell you right now. Who buys the stuff? People. People buy the stuff. And everyone laughed. And he says, but I guarantee you there's going to be one ignorant person after this meeting who's going to come up and ask me the question, who buys the stuff? Now, that's a very sensible question. Who buys the stuff? And the answer is, who buys the stuff? Other Amway IBOs. That's the only people buying the stuff.
Right.
So because they can't answer the question, what they do is they mock and they ridicule. And then if you're a new person, you think, well, everyone's laughing. Obviously, it's a stupid question. I'm thinking it. So I'm obviously thinking of a stupid question. Therefore, I'm not going to ask it.
I'll just shut up.
So it's a very, very effective tactic because there is no answer. Who buys the stuff? The answer is very clear. Other Amway IBOs.
Robert has a story that he talks about in Pontonomics, and it's also, he mentions, we talk about it in my interview with him on my channel, where he talks about doing this investigation. I think it was with the CBC in Canada. And he goes to a MLM presentation, and he stands up and he speaks up in the presentation in front of like 100 people. And he says to the presenter, I have this calculator, and I followed along what you said about 5 people who get 5 people who get 5 people. And it shows that within 13 cycles, you run out of people on Earth. And instead of actually addressing the math, the guy says, oh, see, everyone, that's what I mean. There are people who are believers and they're going to win. And there are people who need calculators. And everyone laughs at him, like making fun of him like he's some nerd with a calculator. And even in my own videos, you've seen me do this in my WFG Part 1 video when they talk about 5-5-30. That's their method. You recruit 5 who recruit 5, and you do that every 30 days. I said in that meeting, you can see in the video, I call out and I say, you wouldn't be able to get that many people because 5 gets 5 is 25, then 125, then, whatever, and it goes on. And the guy goes, what was his answer? He goes, if you were able to get that many people, that's great for your business, buddy. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm saying I wouldn't be able to get that because that would be mathematically impossible. And what did he say? System brings the people, buddy. You're not bringing the people. System brings the people. And then I had some guy, you can't see this in the video, but I had one of the other guys who was like planted in the audience to like clap and cheer at the appropriate moments. He like tapped me on the shoulder and he was like, shh, he's like, any questions you have, we'll answer them after. Because they didn't want me fucking with their momentum,
Yeah, actually, I had that tactic recently. I attended, you got a free $100 voucher, but you had to listen to this sales presentation.
Right.
And I asked the question, and the tactic was if someone asked a hard question, they'd say, great question. Your person is going to explain that to you afterwards.
Yes.
Because they couldn't answer the question in front of the group.
Yes.
So, yeah, that was I think it was a timeshare presentation. I only went for the free. I was never going to join. I just went for the free voucher.
Those people are super persistent. I got a call about a Disneyland free trip a couple of years ago, and as they're like pitching me on the phone, I Googled the company that they were with, and it said that you had to attend a timeshare presentation. I was like, nah, I know it. I'm not in this.
Actually, it was funny. They didn't contact me back because I said to them, I'm going to do my own research and then I'm going to make a decision. And they said, well, you've only got the next hour to make the decision. Otherwise, you're only going to get half the offer. So I was only going to get half the value. I had to sign up right then and there.
Yeah.
And then because I said I was going to do my own research, they never called me back.
Of course.
So they obviously figured if this guy does his research, we're absolutely no chance. We're not even going to bother. We have to sign him up right now or we're no chance. But it was amazing. Other people were signing up.
I know, yeah. That's a huge red flag. I mean, if something is legit, it should stand up to criticism. It should stand up to people doing their own research. And I had an experience like that with Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. got an ad on Instagram. This is in like 2018. My girlfriend and I at the time had been watching lots of Shark Tank on TV. I think at the time it was on Netflix, so we were watching a lot of it on Netflix. And I got an ad on my Instagram saying Kevin O'Leary live in Edmonton, and it was only like $15. I was like, oh, awesome, let's go check out Kevin O'Leary. And when we got there, it was actually genius. It was like really one of the most clever scams I've ever seen. They had this big conference room booked at I think it was at the Edmonton Expo Center. Anyways, big room, like 1,000 people easily in this room, right? All is seated. And the first guy comes out, and he is... Are you getting a phone call? Glenn, are you there?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. The first guy comes out to speak. It's not Kevin O'Leary. It's some guy talking in very generic terms about the stock market and teaching people this is what a call option is, this is what a put is, and teaching people about stonks. Then he talks for 30 minutes. Then he leaves. Another guy comes up. Each of them have this sort of story about how they're so successful and so reputable. But as they were talking, I looked each of them up on my phone, and they each had like a Facebook page that had like 300 likes. Like they were nobody. I couldn't find anything about them really. Then it's like this is going on, and I looked at my girlfriend. I was like, bro, when the fuck is Kevin O'Leary coming out? Like at this point, I'm not sure if he even is coming out. After maybe 2 hours of listening to these presenters that were not Kevin O'Leary, they're like, all right, guys, you know what? You've seen a lot of great stuff here tonight. So before we get Kevin O'Leary out here, we're going to have a little break so you guys can stretch your legs. And we have all these people walking around with their iPads. If you want to sign up for our seminar that we have to teach you about all this stuff and you can make a ton of money, then go ahead and sign up. We'll give you 20 minutes or whatever. We'll have a little intermission, and then we'll come back and we'll listen to Kevin O'Leary. So I watched as like a good amount of this 1,000 people, grown adults, went and spent $1,300 on the spot to get access to this upcoming training from these guys who they had never even heard of 2 hours before. They came here to see Kevin O'Leary. And then I even Googled this opportunity, and online I found out that when you go to this $1,300 presentation, they actually just pitch you a $13,000 presentation.
Yeah, it's like Robert Kiyosaki, isn't it?
I don't know what it was, but then after all this happened, everyone sits down again. Kevin O'Leary finally comes out, talks for like 20 minutes, and it's all stuff that I've already heard him say on YouTube. It was so whack, and I felt like I remember walking back to the car afterwards, and I heard this guy, older guy behind me with his girlfriend go, wow, this is awesome. That went perfectly. And I'm like, dude, you just got fucking scammed. Like, spent $1,300. You thought you were coming here to spend $15. But it was really genius because, let's see, if there was 1,000 people there and all of them spent $15,000, let's say that Kevin O'Leary's fee was $80,000. So they need now to make up $65,000. If even 1/4 of those people spent $1,300, that's $325,000. So those guys who put on this Kevin O'Leary thing cleaned up.
Yeah, it's madness. But I've seen that's what Robert Kiyosaki does. And I think actually Robert Kiyosaki is one of the biggest frauds of all time. Robert Kiyosaki was nobody. And then what he did was he teamed up with Amway, changed his story a little bit. And then because of that, that's what made him a bestseller. Amway put him on their book list, which means if you go on the Amway book list, you become a bestseller overnight. So Robert Kiyosaki became a bestseller only because of the Amway Corporation. And then I don't know if you've seen it, Marco, but Robert Kiyosaki got on Oprah, and he said on Oprah, and Oprah sat there nodding her head, saying that MLM was the greatest opportunity in the world.
I have seen that.
And it is appalling. So Oprah obviously knows nothing about MLMs, or she knows and she was just pushing him anyway.
I don't think Oprah knows.
Yeah, I doubt it very much, but yeah. But the thing that Oprah doesn't understand is the only reason why Kiyosaki became a bestseller was because Amway put him on their book list. And the only reason why they did that was because Robert Kiyosaki changed his story to include MLMs, because before Amway, Kiyosaki had never been in an MLM and had never said anything positive about MLMs.
Now he does, though.
Yeah, because that's how he gets on the Amway book list.
Fucking insane.
Robert Kiyosaki is one of the biggest Amway selling points. They say Robert Kiyosaki says that this is the greatest business opportunity in the world. It's a business of the 21st century.
Which is so... Yeah, go ahead.
Without Amway, Robert Kiyosaki would be nothing. Amway made Robert Kiyosaki. And in exchange, Robert Kiyosaki pretends that he thinks MLM is a great opportunity when he knows it's not. He is as corrupt as they come.
Absolutely insane. Robert Kiyosaki is definitely a waste man. Yes, I have to agree. Damn, bro.
It's a bit like another Amway book. It's called Prosumer Power. And they've got this academic in. He talks about how amazing MLMs are. Yeah, they do that a bit. They will pay academics to say good things about Amway.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff about that too, which is a real shame because academics have like don't they have some sort of, not Hippocratic oath like doctors take, but don't they have some sort of like duty of care to only...
They do, absolutely.
So what the fuck?
But you know what the problem is? No one's going to pay an academic a huge fee to write a book anti-MLM, but they will get paid huge fees to write books that are pro-MLM. That's the problem.
Dave Vaughn says, he's still a top seller in Taiwan, Kiyosaki. Not me walking into bookstores and hiding his books behind others. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to say too earlier about like how your dad, and I would like to talk about your dad more if you're open to it. Your dad
Absolutely,
saying like, "Oh yeah, Glenn, you think you're so smart, you know more than George Bush and whatever." In my new video, I talk about how I've gotten a lot of comments on my multi-level misery videos where I'm talking to people who used to be in Primerica. I'll read you one of them here that I screenshotted actually this morning. This was quite interesting. Somebody said to me, they said, Marco's outlook on life is the exact reason why people fail and never accomplish anything in their life. This channel is him just complaining and down talking a multitude of people's hustles. If someone's winning, no matter what industry they're in, it should motivate you and inspire you to be better. Marco, if I ever see you in real life, I will smack the shit out of you. So there's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, who are so not even just on the fence or like against, like opposed, but so brazenly opposed that it shows they just don't know what they're talking about. And unfortunately, the social proof is enough to do that. In my new video, I talk about how so in the new video, I don't want to reveal too much, but I actually went in person and I did an opportunity meeting with a woman from this company. We sat down for 2 hours. I got the whole thing on hidden camera, and she explains the company to me. And she shows me the opportunity video. And in the opportunity video, it starts by talking about how this company, we've partnered with so many of these big insurance companies, and we have investors from Vanguard and BlackRock and all this and that. And I thought to myself, oh, and they have another thing that says like, oh yeah, Fortune magazine named us this, and Forbes said we're this. And I thought, Wasn't Sam Bankman-Fried on the cover of Forbes and Fortune? Wasn't Enron named most innovative company in America 6 years in a row by Fortune? Wasn't Bernie Madoff the chair of the NASDAQ at one point? All of these things turned out to be scams, Ponzi schemes, fraud. So I really am confused, like, especially in the past few years, I feel like the public readiness to question government has increased so much that I'm amazed that I even get these type
YouTube's done that, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm amazed that I even get these kind of rebuttals anymore. People saying, oh yeah, so you think you know more than the government? It's like, you still trust the government? Like,
exactly.
Okay.
Oh, the other one is the companies that team with Amway. I don't know if you've seen it. There's an ad with Apple. Apple had done an ad with Amway.
No, I have not seen that.
Oh, this is the most sickening thing you'll ever see.
Is it new?
Apple and Amway teaming up. Yeah, it's pretty new.
What?
I don't think it's in America.
Amway?
It's somewhere. Give me a second. I'll find it for you.
This is your channel. The most cringe MLM ad ever made. Apple and Amway.
That's it. Yeah, it's appalling.
Let me pull this up.
Apple endorsing Amway. Absolutely
way.
horrendous.
Is this an Amway commercial or an Apple commercial?
Both. They're teaming up.
Let me see this.
This gives Amway incredible credibility.
Okay, let me play this. No way.
It's hard to believe, isn't it? And that was another line they used to use at Amway meetings when I was involved. It was that Coca-Cola, they're a partner. Do you really think Coca-Cola would be getting involved in a pyramid scheme? And then they'd all just laugh their heads off like it was just the person was just the stupidest person ever thinking that Coca-Cola would get involved with a pyramid scheme. So yeah, I think these companies too need to be called out. That's probably another tactic we need to use. We need to if Coca-Cola is a partner of the Amway Corporation, we need to let Coca-Cola know that that's not okay. Don't do that. If you do that, we're going to boycott you.
I feel like this is an Amway produced video. It has to be.
Amway have partnered with Apple for a long time. You can get all sorts of deals through Amway and Apple. You get your PV, you can meet your quotas by getting an Apple phone plan. The phone plan's more expensive than what it would be if you walked in off the street, but it helps you get to your next rank. So yeah, my dad's always had an Apple Amway phone plan. And he only does that because that's the way he can keep his rank up, keep his PV up, and hold on to his rank. So yeah, they've been doing this for a long time. I think it needs to be called out.
A couple of people are saying, Dave Vaughn says it's an older generation iPhone in the commercial. Amway is listed as a public company in Malaysia, so I doubt it was, I wouldn't doubt it was produced here. Super Holly, what up, Super Holly? She says, I don't think Apple had anything to do with that. Amway just integrated them. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm telling you, my dad's been on an Amway, an Apple and an Amway phone plan. He was doing that 20 years ago. He was talking about it 20 years ago.
Insanity, bro. What the fuck? So,
but there's a lot of companies that do partner with Amway. And I think they need to be called out.
Wow. I can't believe that. Yeah, great comment here from Digital Acetone. He says, for many people ends justify the means. I think that is so true in MLM because they will do whatever. They worship, the commercial cults worship money. They don't worship a deity or anything like that. They worship the idea of money. So anything that leads to more money, what the fuck just happened? Oh, we got disconnected. There we go.
I lost you for a sec.
All good, we're here. So anything that leads to more money to them is a good thing, regardless of what you have to do to get it. Which I think is real shame.
I'll give you an example though. In Australia, we eat a thing called Vegemite. Everyone eats it. It doesn't sell outside Australia. But what Amway have done is they've teamed up with a company called ProMite. So Amway people like my dad will only eat that because that's how you get your PV up. So you can literally get people in Amway to buy anything. They will literally buy anything. Like if you go into my dad's house, the only thing that's ever in his fridge is water and energy drinks. And that's because the PV on the energy drinks are the highest possible PV. So he will drink nothing except these Amway energy drinks because Amway tell him to. So you can so for the companies, you can sort of see why they would do it because you can get people to buy things who would normally never ever buy those things. But
so
that's the power of the MLM.
So I want to talk about your dad a bit. So tell us about your dad and his Amway experience.
Oh, he's just absolutely obsessed. He started when he was a taxi. He was a bank manager before that. Then he became a taxi driver. So he would listen to Amway tapes in the car. If there wasn't a passenger in the car, he'd be listening to the Amway tape. And when the passenger was in the car, he would be prospecting them. So his life was Amway around the clock. He'd then get home after a 12-hour shift, quickly literally run in the house, get showered, stick a suit on, and go to an Amway meeting. Night after night after night after night. And there was one guy in particular, Paul Rakavalis, and I've actually put his speech up on my channel. He went to his house every single Monday night for 20 years. And they would look at the Paul Rakavalis' photo albums of holidays.
He would look at his photo albums and what?
They'd always start the meeting by looking at Paul Rakavalis' photo albums of his holidays. That's how they would begin the dream building session. So it would always be the same thing. You'd go there, everyone would go look at these photo albums of his holidays that Amway had paid for, and then Rakavalis would give this 2-hour, almost like a religious cult, really passionate sort of presentation. But it would always begin with looking at the photo albums. Can you imagine going to someone's house every Monday night for 2 decades and looking at the same photo albums?
And they just flex on you the whole time.
But he never tired of it. He'd get home on a Monday night and he'd be so excited to go to Paul Rakavalis' house because he was a diamond. He'd run inside, he'd get changed, he'd get in the car. It's just a repetitive... That's the thing, I think, that's why people like Scott Johnson, even he can't bring himself to say, well, the MLM industry is a scam, because the brainwashing has been so strong for decades. It's sort of like when people are in cults, they still sort of, even when they figure out the cult's bad, they still defend them somewhat.
Yeah. That was like my friend who was in World Financial Group. He told me in a Facebook message, well, I knew it was a pyramid scheme, actually, but I just didn't care because I was trying to make money. And I was like, bro.
Yeah.
So what was the situation in your dad's life? Like, you said he was a bank manager, then a cab driver. So was he a cab driver when he was recruited into Amway?
Yeah, so he went through a really tough divorce. He was in a very mentally fragile spot. He was an alcoholic. He'd given up alcohol. So it's almost like he was an alcoholic. His life was run by alcohol. He then got into Amway 6 months after, and then sort of Amway took over from the drinking.
Yeah, so I noticed. Go ahead.
One addiction was replaced with another addiction.
I noticed that with people. I mean, it sounds so much like, there are people who they recover from some sort of substance and then they lean all the way into like God.
Yep.
And they become I'm my ex-girlfriend's older sister had a history of being of substance abuse. And afterwards, by the time I met her, she was like one of these devout, almost insane Christian people who spoke in Proverbs.
Yep.
And it's like,
well, my dad's the same, but Amway's his religion.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds exactly the same. And that's really sad. I'm sorry to hear that about your dad. So how old were you when, or I don't know if you want to say too much personal info.
I was 18 when I joined, and within about 2 weeks, I knew there was a big problem. The thing that really tipped me off was when you join Amway, you start at 3%. You're on 3% commission.
Wow.
His sponsor did a presentation, and he told all of our friends that all he did was buy the products, and then they sent him a $50 check in the mail. No, sorry. It was a $200 check in the mail. And I'm thinking, if you got a $200 check, you would have had to have spent literally thousands and thousands of dollars because you're on 3%. So he flat out told a lie to all of our friends. And I remember telling Dad that. I'm going, that's the clear-cut lie. And he just no, it's not. Mark wouldn't lie. He wouldn't listen. It was so obvious. It was such an easy to disprove lie. So that was the first thing that tipped me off. And then the second thing was, it was just pressure to buy these tools. It was just non-stop, relentless pressure. There was a function that was $230, and this was 20 years ago. And there was this relentless pressure from the sponsor saying that I struggled for 2 years. I couldn't make any money. And then I went to this function and it just exploded afterwards. It changed my whole life. And I remember saying I'm not going, and he was just hounding me to go to this function. If I didn't go to this function, that would be the biggest mistake of my life.
Wow.
And it was obvious to me that was the way the top guys were making the bulk of their money. They weren't making their money from the products. They were making their money selling these overpriced tools.
So how long did you stay in?
2 weeks.
Okay, so you were out pretty quickly. And then your dad, I'm guessing you joined shortly after he joined, right?
No, we joined together.
Okay.
And yeah, he was like, "Oh, you're making the biggest mistake of your life." He was in disbelief that I wasn't a part of it anymore.
Wow, man.
It was just, I remember my sister decided to go to university, or I call it college, and he was like, "Why would you want to do that for? Why would you want to spend?"
I think we lost him. Glenn, I lost you. Let's see if we can get him back here. Glenn is a great guest, yeah. Natalie says, I think another way they get folks who struggle with addiction is because a lot of times they can't keep a regular job, so they push the working for yourself BS. So true. So true. Yep. Eliza, same thing with her situation. Somebody else had mentioned about, Dave Vaughn, Amway folks hanging outside of AA meetings. Insane. Maybe Glenn's device died. Let me close this and see if I can call me back if you can. Damn. Yeah, I really do want to hear more about Glenn's story, because Glenn, him and I talked a couple weeks ago. We talked for a little bit, actually, on a Facebook call, maybe about an hour, actually. And it was so, trying to think of the word, like, just unbelievable. So unbelievable, frankly. So unbelievable, the story he told me about his dad. Almost as unbelievable as the fact that there are 165 people watching, but only 124 likes on the stream. Which doesn't make sense, right? Right, guys? Doesn't make sense. We got to fix it. Also, is my audio okay? Yeah, we got to thumbs up the ting, y'all. We got to get it up. Thumbs up the ting. I'm reading your guys' comments here. Maybe he was getting in the car, yeah. Imagine he doesn't realize the call has disconnected and he's just been talking this whole time. Bad Dog says, I got no response from Scott about being on the show. Of course, because you would have talked about me. Audio seems fine, Chris G. Actually, it seems fine. Damn. I wasn't expecting to get Glenn on here, but I'm glad we did, because this was the stream, after all, talking about how Scott and Peter have given up. So what better guest to have than Glenn? I'm just going to wait and see. I'm just going to see if he call me back. Because his story about his dad is absolutely insane. I wanted to ask him about that next, about how his dad being an Amway affected the rest of the relationships with, the rest of his family. I think there is something going on with my mic, though, here. Device properties. Test. There we go. All right. The Goon Court audio was weird. Oh, was it quiet? Let me see.
What you were about to witness is real. The participants are not actors.
Okay, now let me see how that sounded. The rest of the relationships with, One second. Properties. Just Google the second step of AA. Give yourself to a higher power. Damn. So there you go. The Goon Court audio. Call me back, Glenn.
We're about to witness is real.
Yeah, everything sounds fine. I knew it. I should never listen to the chat, actually. Emily Lynn Paulson speaks about how corporate pushed her to talk about and screen her addiction story for how her MLM saved her. Yep. While uplines drank excessively during her speech. So true. It's all a farce, bro. It's all a... Glenn is the Damian Wade of MLM and his dad is Ra's al Ghul. Insane. My microphone looks to be hot, though, even though the gain is all the way down on the mic. Come on, Glenn. Glenn. Calling him again. I wish you would have said if he had to go, so that way I could have wrapped up the convo more neatly. I'm gonna guess his phone died. Maybe he's trying to call me back on my personal Facebook. I'm contacting him on Facebook from my Always Marco page, which I never use, by the way. If you guys message me on my Always Marco page, I promise you, I will not see it. Message me on Instagram, Always Marco. Follow me on there. That's where I'm at. All right, I'm gonna hang up. Dang, that's a shame. We def gotta have Glenn on again, though. Absolutely. Scott and Pete. Let's see if I can check out their most recent episode, see how it ended. It's not working. There we go.
Welcome to Building Fortunes Radio. Make sure you check us out.
Clearer than...
So it's crazy. It's a crazy world, Scott. So I'll let you comment on that, and then if you want, we should probably wrap it up, only because I'm already running out of time.
Yeah, and you know...
I like how Peter's the one running out of time when it's supposed to be Scott's show. Oh, shit, Glenn was messaging me on my Always Marco page. And I didn't see it. He said something... My bad. Lamau, Glenn just thinking I was ghosting him. I haven't seen any of these. Let me see. Hi, Marco. May you DM me? I have some info I'd like to share with you.
Hey, Petty, don't be mad. The picture of you in your Crocs and gibbets isn't that bad tears of joy.
I'm not a loser.
Come on, Marco. Fuck him.
Thank you, Jana Miller. I appreciate you. Hi, Marco. May you DM me? I have some info that I would like to share with you. I have a couple of people that are very close to me that were recruited by WFG. I just need to share something. If there is something that could be done to stop this MLM from scamming people. I mean, it's a message I've only received 12 billion times. 12 babillion. Not even 12 billion, 12 babillion times is how many. Anywho. Does anybody here use Facebook for real, bro? All right, there we go. Let's see what they had to say.
Good exercise would be to go to that website, ANMP, and find a name and then plug it into behindmlm.com, and you'll probably...
Lindy, welcome back into the cult. Congrats, thank you.
See a list of MLMs that these generic coaches have been involved in the past. So you can see for yourself what we're talking about, you know, with because that's what Behind MLM does a really good job of doing, is tracking people, tracking companies over time, and see what they're up to. So, yeah, I'll leave it right there, Peter. Let me just mention my Facebook page one more time.
Scott and Peter buying Bud Light for sure.
And I'll let you close it out. It's facebook.com/Scott Tex Johnson, SCOTTTEX, JOHNSON. all one word. You'll see 3 websites. You'll see my YouTube link. You'll see the link to this radio show, my email. It's all right there. And the first story in the Facebook at the very top.
So fucking boring. Insane. By the way, this dono goal that y'all see up here, that was pretty popular when I did that last week. And I'm going to be announcing on the next stream the winner, the random winner of the last dono goal giveaway I did. I'm going to be giving away some merchandise from alwaysmarcomerch.com. Perhaps maybe even this anti-pyramid t-shirt. Maybe a mug. Maybe I'll put the new mug, the snake oil mug in there. Or snake oil water bottle if I can find a good one to put on the merch store. Alwaysmarcomerch.com, which I will post the link in the chat. And I am also going to include some books like Ponzinomics, Combat and Cult Mind Control, maybe, Freedom of Mind, maybe. We'll see what we put in there. So if y'all want to enter in that, I'm going to do another one of those here. Any amount of money you donate while this one is on the screen, prior to us filling this goal, it could be $1 that you donate through the Streamlabs link in the chat, which is the pinned comment, and it will count toward as a random entry. It doesn't matter how much you put. So if you want to be randomly entered, say less. I've done them before where it's like each entry is $5. So if you donated $50, you would have 10 entries and it would improve your chances. Hey baby, the playing field is even more level. It's even more level. Now, you can't say it's weighted in favor of those who have the big bags. So come on now. And also thumbs up the thing because only 136 of you have out of 148. All right, let me see. I'm going to try to call Glenn one more time. I hope he doesn't feel like I'm blowing him up. Oh, here he is. Glenn?
You there, mate?
Hey,
yes, mate. Sorry about that.
We got you back.
Awesome. Hey, sorry. Can I give you a call back in 20 minutes? It's just I've got to quickly drop my daughter off.
Sure.
Awesome. Look forward to it. See you there, mate.
Yeah. What do you think, y'all? Can we find something to do for 20 minutes? All right. I think we can. Perhaps the first 20 minutes of this episode of BFR
Show with your host, Peter Mingils.
Let's just see.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingils here. You're listening to us on Building Fortunes Radio. That's www.buildingfortunesradio.com. For those people that still might be unfamiliar with my voice, my name is Peter Mingils. We started Building Fortunes Radio back towards the tail end of 2012, beginning part of 2013. If you're a new listener, you may need to hear that story one more time, or if you're a new listener, you might hear it for the first time. But I wanted a platform, if you will, where we'd be able to talk about different and various things, mostly related to home.
Different and various things. All right. We can check out a super MLM man. Why don't we do that? I know he has more of those. So we'll do that. We'll watch one while we wait for Glenn. Marco karaoke. Nah, there's not been nearly enough bag tonight for that. Case cooking break. I fell asleep listening to this. Mufti Mank or Chris the hobby guy. See if Dominic. Dominic does have a couple new videos, and that was what was making me think I should get him on the stream again. All right. Super MLM man. Let's find it. The art of listening. Hilarious. Super MLM man. Let me just search super on his page and see what we find. Oh, he's got a few of them. Super MLM man in Salt Lake City, Utah 3 years ago. Super MLM man live at Mastermind 9. Oh, a live speech as Super MLM man. In Waikiki. Super MLM man discusses the 4-year career. Wow, he really went all in with this Super MLM man thing. In Las Vegas. Holy shit. That's too many, right?
Have you ever heard of network marketing?
The Art of Being Compliant. Be Compliant. Introduction to Abraham by Jerry Hicks from Amway. That sounds interesting. Be Compliant, Marco. Creeping Out Women Man.
Can you name any? First name's good.
My real name?
Yeah, or fake. It's all right.
Bill.
Bill and?
Mark.
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 Where are you from, Mark?
From somewhere else.
Australia?
Yeah, actually.
Where?
Brisbane.
Brisbane. Guess where I'm going to live this summer? Noosa.
Oh, hey, really?
I'll be in Noosa in 2 weeks.
Do you come from a land down under?
Ah, demonetized.
Here's the question.
Jesus Christ.
Have you ever heard of network marketing?
Yes.
Like, how do you know it?
From the criminal file.
What are you talking about? Do the speech. Do what speech? Oh, his speech video. Okay. Here we go. Oh, no. No. I gotta mute it. I gotta mute it because I'm gonna get in trouble with the audio. That looks so bad. And it's just like over top of his regular pants and shirt.
Can I get a nothing burger?
I gotta create a nothing burger like background here for the stream. Thank you, Killikina. I appreciate you.
You're fucking forward.
Backstories here are, Jerry, are unbelievable. So I don't have a lot of time to tell you these stories, but so first of all, there's lots of witnesses. I don't expect you to believe me. This was completely unrehearsed. We bought $35 Starbucks cards. We hit the streets of Spokane with 3 recruiters, 3 gals on the street trying to like rope people in to sign a waiver and come to talk to this guy, not in this suit, I was in the suit, totally separate time, about whatever I wanted to talk to them about. And we had a couple of camera guys and then just me. 30 people. Now there's some people that
300 views and no comments in 3 years. All good.
didn't have any idea what we were talking about, and they were really boring, and to keep the film from being like 45 minutes, we cut them out. The last gal you saw, Allison, or not Beth, the little girl, but the last long interview, she was actually the last number 30 person that we interviewed. And you know, Art and I talked about, gosh, you know, because if I had this video, I had it all bleeped out, you know, because that's my company. Life Shots is my company. Yeah, I'm the guy running the pyramid scheme.
Wow.
Now, what's even funnier about that is we're in Spokane, Washington, and we don't have not one distributor in Spokane, Washington, not one. We only have probably 10 distributors within 100 miles of this lady. And she's not a distributor. She's the vice president of marketing of our company's best friend.
Oh, we're talking about the girl, Ashley, that was in the video, who didn't even want to really be in it, and now he's talking about it on stage. All good.
And she ended up being number 30. And you know, there's even more backstory than that to this video, but we had a lot of fun, and we're going to do some more of these. But I really want you to understand how random it was, because it's only 30 people. Out of those 30 people, by the way, only one person currently involved in network marketing, and only two.
Thank you, Nightwing. Appreciate you.
2 people, including the one, had ever been involved. 28 out of 30 people, brand new prospects, never heard of network marketing. What does that tell you? Well, it tells you a couple things, like what Randy was talking about. You know, we do spend a lot of time. If you don't believe us, just go on Facebook and look at what we post on Facebook. Oh, I just had 97,000 people at my weekly meeting last night. We're killing it over here at XYZ Company. Really? Why'd you put that on Facebook? Who do you think's reading it? All your competitors. Just notice what we do on Facebook. We still, as a community, spend way too much of our efforts trying to impress each other about what's going on in our company, trying to recruit the 10 million of us that are already in, when 28 out of 30 people are not in. Now, guess why they're not in? What do they think about us? We've been doing this for 60 years. I've been doing it for 37 years full time. 37 years full time. As a profession, we've been doing this for 60 years. And look at what people think of us after 60 years. They think we're a pyramid scheme. They think what we do doesn't work. They don't want to do what we do.
I actually will put myself out there on the record as saying, I believe that what they do absolutely works. I believe that MLM works perfectly as it was designed to work, which is less than 1% of people make money and 99% of people lose money. And the profits of that less than 1% are directly correlated with and synonymous with the losses of the 99. And this is so apparent in just the visual image of recruiting 3 who recruit 3 or 5 who recruit 5, and you see that the majority of all people in the company at any given time will always be in the bottom layer. So it is designed literally for people to lose money. So when we talk about the 99% failure rate, it is actually a success rate because it is supposed to work like that.
And I say the biggest reason for that is we just spend too much time.
This guy is IRL Bizarro.
Under-delivering.
So funny, so true.
And trying to impress people and manipulating them and asking them a bunch of agenda questions or dumping on them about how much money they can make or how much money our upline's making or, you know, how many people came to our convention or how our product cures this or cures that. And people are sick of it. And if you don't believe it, go do your own survey. Get a camera, dress up in your own suit, and go.
Julie said, I found him on Facebook. He's a joke. Love it. It's like a villain convention, says Crony Johnny. Imagine being in that room listening to, had to censor my name to swindle a gal. Yeah, I think it is gross. Bernie's Ponzi lasted for decades. True. Insane.
Go ask people what they think about what we do. And, you know, it was eye-opening for me how many people had no idea what multi-level marketing is, and they think network marketing is something totally different than what we think it is. So, you know, one of the things that's enlightening about that is when we're talking to people, they really want to know, deep down inside, I know this after 37 years, people deep down inside, they want to know really what it is we do. And they don't want to hear any funny business about that. They don't want to hear that in the elevator, we're an emergency retirement specialist. Really? Wow, that's so fascinating. Tell me more about that. They don't want to hear any of that stuff. You know what they want to hear? They want to hear the truth. That's what people want to hear. Isn't that what you would want to hear? Like if you were being approached with what we do, what would you want to hear? Like, what would have you trust the person you're talking to? The truth? So there's a lesson in there that maybe we could be straighter with people, and maybe we could tone down or even eliminate the hype, and maybe 60 years from now when we go interview people, which this is what we're a stand for here at Mastermind, and it won't take 60 years for this to happen because what we've done as a community in the last 5 or 10 years far outpaces what was done in the first 50 years to educate people about the grandness of this opportunity. An opportunity that anybody can start in part-time, not sometimes, but part-time. That they can start without having any skills or education, that they can start with $500 or $1,000, and if they work a little bit, they can actually get that back in 60 or 90 days. An opportunity where people who are actually doing it, actually doing what they're teaching other people to do, they're succeeding at it, all they want to do is mentor us to do the same thing. And an opportunity where if you actually just do the do, which is really simple. How many of you have some kind of a DVD, video, some kind of a presentation you could email or hand to people? Okay, if you don't have one, get one. Our business is as simple as this. Give that to a couple of people a day, 5 or 6 days a week, for a couple of years. That's all you have to do. and your business will blow up. We guarantee it. It will blow up. Just ask the people who have done it. That's what our business boils down to.
We guarantee it. Oh, so if they didn't do it, it's their fault. If it didn't blow up, it's their fault. They just didn't do what they were supposed to do.
So where else can somebody start on a part-time basis for...
Thank you, V. Elizabeth White, chucking in some coins. Appreciate that. Thank you.
You're fucking full.
Thank you. That's what he tells himself at night to be able to sleep. Just do the do. Yeah, I'm glad I paid $2,000 to sit in the audience at this mastermind training event so that Superman could tell me, so that Superman and Clark Kent at the same time and Bizarro could tell me, do the do.
For $500
What up, Valles?
or $1,000 and be mentored by millionaires and multimillionaires, and in 2 or 3 or 4 years become a millionaire themselves. Where else on this planet can you do that? Can you do that going to college? No. Can you do that buying a franchise?
Doesn't this video want to make you guys take massive action today? Doesn't this really make you want to take massive action and provide value and circumvent those limiting beliefs? I know it makes me want to do those things.
Well, maybe if you got $500,000, you can. Where else can you do it? You can only do it here. This is a treasure, ladies and gentlemen. This is a financial freedom treasure.
Wow.
And we're in such a hurry, and we're so afraid we're going to fail that we just mess it up out there. And we don't have to do that. There's an easier way. Yay? I'm going to leave you with a couple of thoughts. So I always take stock maybe every 15 years, so I've taken stock twice of my career. No, maybe every 6 months or a year, and try to keep dumbing it down and making it more simple and more simple and more simple so that the gestation period, how long it takes for people to get it.
Makes me want to take massive Ambien. Hilarious.
Is shortened. For me, it was 2.5 years. 2.5 years of, trying to manipulate people and trying to get people in a place where I could, tell.
It's literally him saying, I was trying to manipulate people.
Tell them how much money they could make and tell them how great my product was and, try to manipulate them somehow to come to the meeting. And, I tried the same things Randy did, arguing with people and begging people. And then, I tried winning through intimidation. Robert Ringer, probably never heard of him, but, back in the 70s and 80s, we've studied people like Robert Ringer, who wrote the book, Winning Through Intimidation. And, drive up in a big Cadillac and, try to do all that stuff. None of that really worked long term. Sometimes you can influence followers like the sheep to come into your organization, but that doesn't resonate with people's heart. That doesn't resonate with people's spirit, and they end up leaving, and they can't duplicate it. So I was thinking, in the last few months about what is it that I have learned after 37 years that actually gives me some mastery and some comfort and some peace about this profession, and I boil it down to one thing, and that's curiosity. See, I've always been.
Intimidation. Come to my meeting. Oh, shit. Thank you, Lil Ray. As long as they can state the terms of the language, they will always be right. A true broken mindset. So true. Compliant. Yeah, exactly, Jimmy. How can you do that? By starting a legit business. Happens quite often, actually. Exactly. Dave Vaughn says, the words they find to be compliant. Treasure. It was just lying on the beach. So true. So true.
I have always been curious about other people. And so you just imagine when you're in a conversation with somebody else, whether it's somebody you know or somebody that you just met, just pay attention to that subtle innate urge that you have in every cell of your body for them to know who you are, for them to know your stories, for them to know your opinions. You get a sense of that subtle, that feeling that kind of influences what we do. And that's why, when they're telling us their story, we just can't hardly wait for them to shut up so we can tell them our story. And, we can hear them talking about their story, but we're actually rehearsing our story while they're telling their story. So as soon as they take a breath, we can tell ours really good. And of course, ours has got to be just a little bit better than theirs. That's who we are as people. And that's what it is to be human. For 99% of us, when we're engaged with other people, we want them to hear us. Do you want to attract people to what we do? Just be curious about them. Just curious. Just curious. So if you're curious and you're in a conversation, what does your conversation sound like if you're curious? Questions. Now, of course, you can ask, contrive, manipulated, scripted out, set them up, knock them over questions. Or you can just ask questions that come to you in the moment. So what if you just were with people and who you were was curious?
Again, this is teaching you how to be a way. Instead of actually being that way, instead of being yourself, it is it's like teaching you to be authentic, which is an oxymoron. It is the opposite of authenticity. If you have to teach people, or if you feel that you have to, encourage people to be authentic, it's not authentic. Insane. Insane. Literally insane. This man is insane.
So you ask him a question, right? I don't know what that question is. I'm not even going to train you what the question is. Just try it. Just stand there in a moment and stand in the possibility of who I am is curious. Who I am.
Who's the angrier drunk, this guy or Robert Hollis? Robert Hollis strikes me as like an actual, like, violently insane drunk.
This person is curious. You can't help but ask a question. And when you ask a question, what are they going to do? Yeah, they're going to talk. And when they get done talking, if you're curious about what they said, what are you going to say next? You're going to ask another question, right? And then they're going to answer the question, and if you're still curious, what are you going to say next? You're going to ask another question. What questions are you going to ask? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Make it up in the moment. If you're curious and you want to feed somebody else's...
What could you possibly be writing here? Write this down. Be curious. Write this down. When somebody answers your question, ask another one. It's fucking nonsense. Nothing is being said. A 25-minute speech where you say nothing. Yeah, Jimmy, it's a good point. If this moron can flip his MLM company to Young Living, why couldn't I? You know, you have to be willing. This is why I say if I was an MLM, I would be the most successful MLMer and greatest of all time, because I do have a way with words, I believe. That's my strength, talking. And if I had no soul, if I had no conscience, and I just went in saying the things I needed to say to get people to join my business, I would make a killing.
Soul, be curious about them. Ask them questions that come to you in the moment. Just spontaneous, authentic questions, and listen.
Another nothing burger for real.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. I'll make you an ironclad guarantee. If that's the only way you converse with people, what they're going to do sooner or later, and in most cases sooner, is they're going to hand you on a giant silver platter. They're going to put it right on the platter in front of you for you to feast on if you want.
So predatory.
Why they would want to join you in your business. They're going to tell you why before you ask them. Because if you're curious enough about...
Thank you, Benjamin. Appreciate you,
people. And you keep asking them questions and listening to them, they're going to be honored. They're going to be honored like they haven't been honored in a long time. Because in almost every conversation they have, they come together with somebody and they want to be heard. That's all people want to be. They just want to be heard.
I think you're massively overestimating, Richard, the amount that people converse with selfish, insane narcissists and psychopaths. Not every person out there has every one of their conversations marred by the other person trying to one-up them and never listening to them. I would hope that for most people, their friends and family members and people that they actually regularly make the time to talk to do ask them questions and do listen to them. You are not inventing anything revolutionary here, and you are saying quite literally nothing.
You know, this country's in gridlock because these people aren't smart enough in Washington, D.C. to understand that, yeah, we get it, you want to be heard, but the problem is, I want to be heard. And when two people come together and all they want is to both be heard, you just have a train wreck. And in our profession, most of us have been creating train wrecks with our prospects. instead of getting prospects to walk away from our conversations going, huh, that guy's kind of interesting. That gal's kind of interesting. I wonder what they do. And you know, those of you that practice this know what people do eventually when you honor them powerfully enough. What do they do as a human being? They honor you.
Oh.
They can't help it. What do you do? I'm an emergency retirement specialist. You want to have some fun with people?
Hey, thank
Good
you,
job,
Digital
dude.
Acetone. Thank you.
Millions and
Appreciate you,
billions.
bruh. Where's the Ray Higdon sound? Let me hit that. That Ray Higdon sound kills me, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you, Digital Acetone.
Tell them you're in one of those pyramid schemes like Amway and then shut up.
Uh-oh.
Want to have some fun with people? Tell them you're in one of those pyramid schemes like Amway and then shut up. Just shut up. Just create all kinds of safety in the space of silence. Because when you tell them you're in a pyramid scheme like Amway, what they expect you to do is go after their throat. This is especially fun if you're sitting next to somebody for 2 or 3 hours on a plane. What do? Well, I'm not.
Honor them powerfully. Exactly. I know, Julie, you probably heard so much fucking shit like that with Ray Higdon. Honor them powerfully. Honor them strongly. We're going to honor them. You know, we're going to honor them, frankly. You look at what's going on with Biden. Nobody honors anyone anymore. So true. Sad. When I'm back in office, we are going to honor people so powerfully, so strongly. No one knows about honor more than me, believe it or not. And it's unbelievable, actually. And I went out there and I honored them, and I honored them strongly. I honored them powerfully, actually. And they loved it. They said, sir, Mr. President, sir, we're honored. We're honored that you honored us. I know.
In Amway, but I'm in one of those pyramid schemes like Amway. You know what Amway is? Oh, yeah. And then just shut up and go back to reading your magazine. I swear to God, mark my words, within 15 minutes, within 5 minutes, you're going to see them fidget. They're going to start fidgeting. And then they're going to start looking over at whatever you're reading. Then they're going to like move their magazines around a little bit. And then they're going to say something about, long flight, huh? Oh, they can't stand it. They want to know so desperately. Tell me about Amway. Tell me about that pyramid scheme. I mean, for God's sakes, Beth wanted to be in a pyramid scheme. She's 3 years old.
I think he's talking about Becky from the video.
It's a naughty word for us. You know, it's like the name Redskins for us. You know, we're like, oh no, don't call us a pyramid scheme. We're not the Washington Redskins. We're the Washington Native Americans or something. I don't know. You know, it might just help if we owned it. Because guess what? That's what most people think we are. So the only way we're going to shift them is to own it. Just own it.
Wow. Bold strategy, actually.
Yeah, one of the pyramid schemes.
We're using it as a term of endearment now.
Like Amway. I'm at the top. Go back to reading your magazine.
Funny that they always poke fun at Amway, all these MLM companies, call it Scamway and shit like that, because Amway is quite literally the reason y'all are all here. Without Amway buying out the government and setting up the law the way it is now, no MLM company would exist today except Amway. So every MLM company today owes it to Amway that they are here. It's the only reason they're here. So, very interesting to me.
I'm telling you, they're going to come out of the woodwork after you. They're going to go.
And then you can tell them everything's a pyramid scheme. A regular corporation is a pyramid scheme. You've got the CEO, you've got the manager, the assistant manager.
So I'm going to leave you with a story. This magazine is back in circulation. It's kind of esoteric, but it's a great magazine to subscribe to and read. Not too many of them that I recommend that you're going to get good meat from, but this is one, Psychology Today. This magazine was out of print for about 10 years, and this was a story in Psychology Today about 25 years ago. And it was like a 2-page story, and I just happened on it by accident, but wow, reshaped reshaped everything I've done since in network marketing. This article and a little audio tape by a guy named Larry Wilson called A New Way of Selling.
A little audio tape by a guy named John Smith, by a guy named Bob Johnson, by a guy named Chris White, by a guy named Mike Brown, by a guy named Richard Richardson. Nobody's.
A New Way of Selling. So here's the way the Psychology Today article went. This was a project that the magazine put together with the editor. And the project was about listening and curiosity and honoring people. So they put the editor of Psychology Today on a nonstop flight from New York to Los Angeles. And the agenda was whoever it was a he, is sitting next to. The agenda for that 5-hour flight is to ask your seatmate curiosity questions, listen, and then ask more questions. And do not volunteer any information about yourself, not what your name.
Literally like an alien. This is like what an alien would tell the rest of the aliens. When you go down there, when you go down to Earth, where's my spaceship? Now hear me. When you go down to Earth, I want you to go on an airline. Blend in. Ask questions. Appear curious. Curiosity wins the humans over. But offer up no information about yourself, else you might slip up and reveal that we are actually from the planet Zootron, and we cannot reveal the Zootronian Legion to the humans. We are here only to extract data. Insanity.
Name is, not what you do for a living, not why you're going to LA, not anything about your family, nothing. Now, I don't know if they sensationalized this or not, but this is the way the article read.
So true, Silicon Valley. Amway ran so the following MLMs could scoot their asses on the carpet across the room like a small crusty-eyed dog. Hillary, we call her the small crusty-eyed dog Hillary. That's what we call her. That's what they call her, frankly. Where's my spaceship?
And I believe at least the essence of it, because I've seen it play out hundreds and thousands of times in the last 25 years.
Nightwing says, off topic, but I nominate your cowboy hat character to be named Dwight, write this down, Johnson. You know what would be a great name for my cowboy hat character? Bob Smith. Just John Smith. John Smith. Just to hammer home the point of how nothing it is. Isn't John Smith the guy from fucking Pocahontas? Maybe Bob Smith works better. Who cares?
Years. For 5 hours, the editor of Psychology Today asked his seatmate curiosity questions. And when they got off the airplane in LAX, the Psychology Today crew was standing in the airport, and they went to interview his seatmate. And they asked him, hey, what did you think about the guy that you flew out here with? Anybody know what he said? Thank you, Jordan. The most interesting person I've ever met. That's
how could this guy be Superman and the Joker at the same time?
What he said. So then they said, really? What does he do for a living?
Bob Williams, Billy Smith, yeah, Mike Hunt.
Well, and so what was his name? So did he have an interesting family? So out here on LA on vacation, or was he coming out on business?
Loose asshole, nice.
Clueless. So imagine how it would be with you and the people that you encounter for the next 25 years if who you became was the most interesting person the people that you encountered had ever met. And imagine what we could do to restore and polish and beautify the reputation and the interpretation and the image of the network marketing profession, so that when we hit the streets 5 years from now or 6 years from now or 7
Thank you, Jordan is the successor to Do You Like Me? Hilarious.
years from now, and we say, have you ever heard of network marketing? Instead of people going, no, or it's like Facebook. You know, maybe we got to say network marketing, multi-level marketing. Maybe even we got to say, like Amway. And instead of them going, they go, yeah, I have. In fact, I know a lot of people involved in it. In fact, I know a lot of people that are doing really well in it. A lot of my friends are involved in it. In fact, I've been involved in it for the last 5 years. Wouldn't that be a beautiful place to work? That's in our hands. Be the most interesting person people have ever met. Thanks.
Whack. So much nothingness. So much. A standing ovation. How? Wowzers, McGlowzers, bro. That was fucking nothing. Nonsense. Trusting trust. I'm reading the little outro. Absolute madness. When did Glenn say he was gonna... He said 32 minutes ago he would call me back in 20 minutes, so... Ethan Miller, Mike Roch, Super MLM Man putting me to sleep. Nobody is doing well. Made it up. He had the best MLM glare I've seen. Okay, thumbs up the stream. Let's see if Glenn will call back. Hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second. Damn it, Glenn. Put that cookie down. Glenn, we talked to Glenn earlier on this stream, Danny. Next time you take a flight, ask your seat partner, have you pined my wife? Next time you ask someone that, they may say yes. Yeah, I bought Chips Ahoy cookies at the store the other day because I haven't had them in years. And I was feeling a bit cheeky, a bit naughty. And so I bought them, and they were good. I had a couple in the car, and then I sealed it back up. And then the next day I had one, and it was sort of stale. And now they're all stale. But I only have a few left. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to spare no expense at the grocery store henceforth. Because as long as, even if I buy the most expensive organic vegetables and expensive steaks and whatever, it's still going to be cheaper than if I go out to eat. And that's really what will get you. That's really what adds up. So, groceries. Is it a protein cookie? Nope, just a Chips Ahoy. Creatine cookie? I've still been taking my creatine, but y'all could already tell that. Put that cookie down. Am I on a bulk? I'm on a I don't know, I guess. I'm trying to be. I just looked in the fridge, and I actually don't have anything. I'm gonna have to take a steak out the freezer and thaw it out somehow. How can I thaw a steak as fast as humanly fucking possible? And I'll figure something out. Oh, yeah, you had mentioned the Abraham Hicks thing, Jimmy, and I actually had pulled that up onto my watch later. So let's check this out. It actually looks interesting. Esther and Jerry Hicks. I've heard of these two before. Aren't these the ones that, like, this is the couple that claims to be able to, like, speak to spirits, right? I've heard of these two before. I don't even remember how I've heard of them. Let me go to this right quick. Introduction to Abraham. Getting diced. So true. Thank you, Alex. Homemade chili and baked potatoes. So true. So scrumptious. I realized you spend $100 on groceries and still way less than eating out. If you spend $100 on groceries, it's still way less than eating out. 25 a meal versus eating out. Bars. What kind of nothing burgers are you making this week? Good ones. Okay. I roasted a bit hunk of tri-tip. What the fuck is that?
In the beginning, because of the thought that was in my mind when I first sat to meditate, I saw them as like a dead person that was really smart. And as time has gone on, I'm realizing that they are infinite intelligence.
How does she have a video with 14 million views?
Of your tug of war, how strong it is or whether it exists at all. You're in control of your emotions. You're in control of how you feel. You're aware of how you want to feel. You're tuning more and more to the whole of who you are. And you're feeling more satisfaction because that's where satisfaction comes from.
Wait a minute. People actually unironically like this? People listen to this? What the? These gotta be bots, right? What the fuck?
And that they are as broad or as deep as the question that is being asked. So they no longer feel like a person to me, you know, like you'd talk to your dead father or someone. They feel like...
Oh shit, Glenn calling me back. Glenn, I got you. Where you at? Glenn! Are we back? Test.
Yeah, Matt, I'm back.
Yes, sir, Ski. Appreciate it. Appreciate you calling me back. So, before we got disconnected, you were saying about your sister going to school and how your dad was questioning her and saying, how come you want to do that?
Yeah. She was going to go to college, or we call it university here. And he's like, why would you want to do that for? I know a girl who's your age. She's earning $250,000 a year, working part-time. He thought she was crazy for wanting to go to university. Because that's the mentality that, you know, anyone who's not doing Amway is just insane. You know, university's for losers. Jobs are for losers.
Right.
Winners do Amway.
Fuck. And so how did your dad being in Amway and like having this such like serious radicalized belief in it affect his relationships with like you, your siblings, the rest of your family, his friends?
Oh, very badly. I mean, pretty much he's had a heap of girlfriends since he joined Amway, and all the relationships have ended because what's happened is the girlfriends got into Amway, and then when they've started to question Amway, the sponsors are then, you've got to get away from this person. This is a negative person. This person is dragging you down. The reason you're not a diamond is because of this person's negativity. So it's ended so many relationships. Me and Dad have fought about this nonstop for years. Like, he used to blame me. When I used to live at his house, it was that the reason he wasn't a diamond was because of my negativity. My negativity was dragging him down.
Fuck.
And he was very much of the view that I was trying to steal his dream. And that's a Dexter Yeager teaching that people are jealous of you, people are negative, and they're going to go out of their way to steal your dream. Now, I can't think of another example where that happens. Like, if someone's in a bank or a school teacher, who tries to steal that dream?
Right.
If someone buys a bakery, no one tries to steal that dream. It's just because it's Amway, and people know that 99.something% are losing money.
Yeah, this is one of the untold victims of MLM are really the people who have a loved one that joins an MLM and then they lose them because of them pursuing it. And it's like, even if you were able to show on paper how much money was lost by participants in an MLM company, it still wouldn't even begin to scratch the surface of the unquantifiable emotional and psychological anguish that was brought on to all of their friends and family. And that's really how MLM gets you, is they collateralize your relationships and make you sort of, your relationships are almost like an insurance policy for you to not quit, because you've probably gone and told everybody that this is the thing that's going to make your dreams come true. So there's like a sunk cost fallacy. You don't want to go back to them with your tail between your legs, admitting that you were wrong and have to swallow your pride. So you might continue to lose money in the pursuit of the dream, so you don't have to do that. And even if you do become successful, the likelihood is that the people who are your friends and family that you brought in under you won't be able to enjoy that same success. So that could cause a rift as well. So it's a lose-lose situation. Most likely, you'll all end up losing money, and you will be the one to blame for bringing everyone else on the bandwagon. So it is a lose-lose-lose situation.
Well, that's actually, I think, the other big thing about the MLM industry is, even if you get to a rank, it's very, very hard to keep that rank. So my dad actually there was a point in time where he actually had a big group, and he was making about $4,000 a month. But then what happened was that group collapsed. Everybody quit. And then all those friendships, he had very tight friendships with these people that he'd sponsored, because they thought that he was going to help them become millionaires. Those friendships then all were shattered because they all lost money. And they then realized that the things that he was telling them were false. So it wasn't just the fact that he lost all that income, he also lost all those friendships. And they were his only friendships. Because people that are in MLMs, their friendship groups are their sponsors, and people who they've sponsored. So it means that you constantly got these friendships that are collapsing. It's not just the businesses that are collapsing, it's also the friendships.
Yeah. So how many millions has your dad made up to this point, would you say?
He had a very small period of time where he had a largish group, and he was making about $1,000 a week, but now it's nothing, because literally he's got no sponsors left. Every single sponsor, person that he'd sponsored has quit. So at the moment, it's almost nothing. And it was interesting too, when he was making the $1,000 a week, the sponsors were telling him that he had the equivalent of a $1 million asset. And the way they figured that out was that if you had that much money in the bank, that's how much interest you'd earn. So to earn $1,000 a week in interest, you'd have to have this much money in the bank. Therefore, you have $1 million asset. Because the way it's taught is...
Oh my God.
The way it's taught is that once you hit a rank, that's it. If you make $1,000, that's $1,000 a week forever. It's passive. It's like someone who writes a book.
Yeah.
They just kept getting paid over and over and over again. The problem is, though, that when you write a book, you don't have to keep rewriting the book. MLM, it's a bit like if you got a bath and the plug's not in the bath. The minute you turn off the tap, there's no water left, because you have to constantly replace these people that you're sponsoring, because they're constantly quitting. They're in a constant state of collapse. But yeah, he truly believed that he had the equivalent of a $1 million asset.
Yeah.
And the $1 million asset became zero very, very quickly.
That is so true. I mean, in this new video I'm doing, the main guy who I focus on talks profusely about how his lifestyle is so amazing because of his passive income. And yet, throughout the making of the video, I was monitoring his Zoom calls that he was doing 3 times a week for over an hour. And that doesn't even include the time he's spending on jumping on other people's Zoom calls and doing his own prospecting calls and texting and being in group chats and social media, DMing people, replying to stuff. Like, it's an all-day thing. It's nonstop. So yeah, it is not passive income. Has your dad?
That's the biggest myth of them all.
Huge myth. Has your dad? Has his faith in Amway wavered in the past 20 years, even once?
Not even slightly.
Wow. So he still drives a cab, and even though he
stopped.
Go ahead.
He stopped driving a cab because he was sort of unable to do it because he got too old. But he stopped driving taxis, and then he used to prospect in the taxi. Every single person that got into the taxi, he would prospect. He then couldn't drive taxis anymore, so he then literally would spend his days going from shop to shop to shop, prospecting the shopkeepers.
Oh my God.
All day long. So if anything, after he stopped driving the cab, his Amway obsession got greater because that was the only thing that he did. So he would prospect during the day, and then at night time he would either show prospects or go to somebody's plan. Just non-stop. Absolute obsession.
So how does he live? How does he survive?
Well, he's got bank super because he worked in the bank for 27 years. So, I mean, the money he made in the bank and as a taxi driver is masking the fact that he's failed in Amway for 23 years.
Yeah, but if he's not driving a cab anymore and he's just doing Amway full time now, isn't he just going to eventually run out of money from paying for rent and groceries?
Eventually, but he did have a lot of bank super from 27 years in the bank. He was a bank manager, so... And we have pensions for... He's 71 years old, so he gets a pension as well, so... But all the, the money he has is money that he earned pre-Amway.
So is your dad still going to those Monday night, I forget the gentleman's name, his house?
Yeah, Paul Racavalis, yeah,
Still, every Monday night?
Yeah, every Monday night, and it's the same format. Sit down, look at the photo albums, and then they'll talk about how bad jobs are and how bad education is and how it's all a big rip-off. And then he'll give this almost like a religious sermon on how amazing Amway is and how amazing the opportunity is. And that will go for a couple of hours, 2 to 3 hours every Monday night.
And who is at these meetings? Is it new recruits?
It's always the new recruits. So people, it's normally people that are interested in the business. But Dad's the only one who goes every single Monday night.
Wow. And I'm guessing Paul Racavalis is pretty successful.
He's a diamond. Actually, I put his diamond speech onto my channel, and his wife. It's funny because her name is Karen, and this is the ultimate Karen's most cringeworthy speech you've ever heard in your whole life. It is just painful to listen to, but it's funny at the same time because it's that bad that it's good.
Let me pull it up. Paul, I searched Paul on your channel. Oh, here we go. Karen Racavalis. The ultimate MLM Karen. Hun makes the cringiest speech ever. Amway. Okay, this is like a longer video, so maybe I won't play it here while we're talking, and I'll play it another time. But check out Glenn's channel, MLM is Fraud. I wanted to ask you, too, about how did your dad get all the girlfriends if he was basically a destitute Amway shill?
Well, he's never been destitute because he's always had his bank money to fall back on. So he's never been destitute.
Okay.
But yeah, being in Amway puts a lot of restraint on the relationships. And that's the reason why you notice that every single person in Amway, the successful ones, the partner's also in Amway, because you're encouraged to dump a partner who is not supportive of Amway. That's why you never see a diamond where the partner's not in Amway. They're always both obsessed with Amway. You'll almost never find someone who's a single or who's married to someone who does something else, because the sponsors tell you to dump that person.
Right. So does your dad even have like a relationship with like his grandchildren?
He does now, but yeah, he's just constantly putting in Amway, just little Amway things, and he's still in disbelief that I quit.
How do you navigate this relationship now, 20 years in, like with him being so obsessed? Like, is it a regular argument or what?
Very regularly, yeah. You just got to bite your tongue, but it's I've got a broke mindset. I've got all this sort of stuff. Stinking thinking.
That's
another Dexter
Yeager too.
I said he wrote a book called Stinking Thinking.
Yeah. So
pretty much everything that he says, he's just repeating things that people like Dexter Yeager have said.
Yeah, don't think. Thought stopping is a cult tactic, and Steve Hassan talks about that in Combating Cult Mind Control, the BITE model, information control, behavior, information, thought, emotion, thought stopping, stinking thinking. It's all combined.
Actually, one of Dexter Yeager's most famous quotes is, "When the dream's big enough, the facts don't matter." Which is, I find it hard to believe that anyone with half a brain could hear that and not go, not have warning bells ringing. When the dream's big enough, the facts don't matter. Well, how can facts not matter?
It's like the Bob Proctor, "Logic is bad for us." Have you seen that clip?
No, but it sounds very...
In a Avima presentation he did years ago, Bob Proctor goes, it's completely illogical for someone in their early 20s to make tens of thousands of dollars a month. Logic is a ceiling. Logic is bad for us.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, logic is bad. Yeah, you just have to believe. Just listen to what the sponsors say to you. Don't question it. That's the key to success. Everything the sponsor says, you listen to.
I mean,
because.
Go ahead.
Yeah, in the same way as when you're in a cult, you don't question what the preacher's telling you. It's the same with this. You don't question what Dexter Yeager's saying, because Dexter Yeager he's the pinnacle of success. You know, you just can't question it. If you question it, you're a loser.
Of course. Did you ever go to any Amway events, whatever they called, conferences?
Smaller ones. I never went to the bigger ones. That was what caused me to quit. Was that there was this relentless pressure on me to go to this $230 event. And, you know, $230 is 20 years ago. That's probably, let's say, $350 today. That was a lot of money. I was like...
It was like a concert.
I was working... Yeah, it was. It was an all-day event, yeah. $230. And I'm like, I'm not going. And the sponsor was just hounding me relentlessly, just saying that, you know, this presentation's going to change my life. I remember thinking, Dad's already got piles of tapes and books of other presentations. I've listened to them. If they haven't changed my life, why would this one change my life? The things that are going to be said at this presentation are going to be the same as everything else. So it just made no sense.
Well, that's your broke mindset, Glenn. That's your limited beliefs right there.
That's it, isn't it? But yeah, Dad was convinced that this night was going to change his life. Then it didn't. And then 3 months later, there was another event that was going to change his life. And again, it didn't.
And he's been doing this for 20 years. This
is his 23rd year.
So it's never going to stop.
Never, ever. But how you can go to a life-changing event after life-changing event and it has no impact and then you just keep going back is just a mystery to me.
I feel bad, man. Your dad, I think, is really has some unhealed... He's suppressing something, I feel like, because first it was alcohol that he was using to cope with something, and then the addiction never really went away. It was just replaced with Amway.
I think alcohol was the better addiction, though.
Fuck.
Which sounds bad, but yeah, Amway is just, But I think the problem now is if he quits Amway, then he loses every single friend he's got, because every single friend he's got is in Amway. So that's the big problem now, is that all the friendship groups are, because as far as he's concerned, Paul Racavalis is his best friend.
Right.
The other sponsors...
Go ahead, sorry.
The others, everyone who goes to these meetings, these are like the hangouts,
Right.
A hangout that you've got to spend hundreds of dollars to attend, but these are the hangouts.
Of course. Yeah, it's sort of like a church set up in that way. If the church is your whole life, then that's where you would go to chill with the boys, is at church. Janet says, Glenn, you are uncoachable.
That's it, yeah. Broke mindset, stinking thinking. The difference is church is once a week. This is multiple times a week.
Yeah, that's a great point too. And if it was religion that he was obsessed with, that at least wouldn't be this sort of false promissory business opportunity where people are losing money. It would be annoying, but it wouldn't be as negatively impactful.
Exactly, yeah.
Damn, I feel you have my sympathies, bro, because I can't imagine the amount of times, good times you've missed out on with your dad because of his addiction to Amway.
Yeah, the fights it's caused. I actually remember when I was learning to drive, the deal was that I'll take you for a drive, but we have to listen to an Amway tape. So every single minute that I spent learning how to drive, there was an Amway tape playing. And then what would happen is, I remember there was one tape when this Amway diamond was talking about his loser, broke mindset brother who used to laugh at him for doing Amway. And as this guy's describing this really dumb brother, Dad was pointing at me and just laughing. He's going, that's you. And then, inevitably every single car drive where the Amway tape's playing would result in a big argument about something that the diamond had said that I was I'd question. And I was just, this negative, person that had a broke mindset. And he'd say that the tragedy of it is you're exactly the kind of person that could become like Dexter Yeager, but your negativity is going to stop you. He He was just perplexed as to how I couldn't see this obvious. The big saying was, we're in the right place at the right time with the right people. And he just couldn't comprehend how anyone could not see it.
So I sort of want to get a feel for this, for how frustrating this would be, right? So, because this is your dad. So I'm going to be you here, and you be your dad,
Yep.
okay? Okay,
Yep.
so I'm going to say, okay, Dad, you've been doing this thing for 20 years, and you still don't really have nothing to show for it. How do you explain that?
I've spent too much time listening to negative people like you with broke mindsets. I need to, then he'd talk about how he needs to wash his brain of all the negative thinking, which is coming from people like me.
Wash his brain.
They actually say there was a religious cult. I saw a documentary on a religious cult, and the person says, "Do you think you've been brainwashed?" And then the guy laughed and said, "Yeah, you're right. I have been brainwashed. This church has washed my brain of all the impure thoughts from coming from the outside world." That's exactly what they say in Amway.
Yeah.
Amway brainwashes you to wash away all the negative, stinking thinking that you've put up with for your whole life.
Have you seen my videos on I Am Academy?
Some of them, yes.
Yeah, I have. There's only 2. So in part 1, I think it is, they go, yeah, sometimes people do need their brain washed, and they say, yeah, you're washing your brain. You're not brainwashing and actually, in my new video, this is a little bit of a spoiler, so cover your ears if you don't want to hear it. But in my new video, at the end of the meeting that I have with this woman, the Primerica recruiter, she tells me, I'm asking her about, wow, this all sounds like an amazing thing. Like, what is stopping people from doing this? Is it just negativity? Is it just pessimism? She says, yes. And she says, you need to take your head out. She sort of gestures this motion like taking off a hat, but she's sort of acting out, removing her brain from her head, and then sort of waving like a shower head over it type of motion. And she says, you need to brainwash yourself into positivity.
Yep.
So
actually, what you just said, that's what David Koresh used to say, the guy that caused the Waco, Texas siege. It's a very common. It's amazing they'd actually use that line, because when so many really bad religious cults have used it, it's caused so much, destruction, that they'd actually think that was a good idea to use that as an example.
Fuck.
It's a bit like in the Welcome to Life documentary, the guy said, here's the guy who got people to commit suicide using poison. He said if he can get 900 people... Jim Jones. If Jim Jones can get 900 people to commit suicide, you're telling me you can't find 3 people who want to make money? And then he laughed, and then the whole crowd laughed. But, what a bizarre comparison.
It's funny to me. I don't get how grown men and women who, in some cases, are educated, can have their critical thinking subverted just by them saying like a clever sounding acronym. Like, I saw so many people in I Am Academy be silenced by, the presenter would say something. You can see this in the video. The presenter goes, you know what, people tell me this is a scam. You know what scam means? Still confused about money. It's like, okay, well, this is a deflection I see quite commonly. Instead of actually addressing the criticism at hand, you've just deflected by trying to pounce on or condescend the person making the criticism. Another example that you'll see in my video is the main guy I focus on. There's a clip of him on a podcast. He's being interviewed on a podcast, and I include this. And he says, people are always saying about 99% of people lose money in MLM, but 50% of marriages end in divorce. Does that mean I'm going to go to somebody's wedding this weekend and say, excuse me, can I say something? You have a 50% chance of this working. This is also a deflection that is just a clever sounding, logical sounding.
50% is better than 1%, isn't it?
Absolutely. And also, marriages aren't failing because couples are failing to recruit 3 other couples and unlock their 5-year anniversary bonus.
Exactly.
It's a deflection. And furthermore, even if, there's valid criticisms to be made about the institution of marriage, child support, alimony, sure. Same thing with, this happened to me, again, during the I Am Academy era. I would ask people about how, make propositions to say that it was this or that. And they would say, you know what the real scam is? Going to college and you're being taught by a professor, you're being taught a marketing course, and the professor doesn't even own a business. He's poor, and you're paying X amount of dollars to go get into student debt. That's the real scam. It's easy when you hear something like that to get sidetracked from the conversation, but you realize
I think the point.
Go ahead.
I think the point is if they could defend it, they wouldn't need deflections. They need deflections because the business is undefended. You can't defend it. It's indefensible what they're doing. A business with a 99.7% loss rate is indefensible. So they need to say, oh yeah, but this is also bad. Well, this other thing also being bad doesn't make your thing good. It just means they're both bad.
Totally. And I mean, yeah, exactly what you said. Pointing out the flaws in something else doesn't erase yours. If you were in court accused of stealing a car and the judge said to you, all right, let's hear your case. And instead of actually pleading your case, you just said, well, judge, that guy stole a bike.
Exactly,
that wouldn't really do much for you. The judge would go, okay, we're here to talk about you, though. This is your case.
Yeah, I only stole an old secondhand car. He stole a Ferrari. He's much worse.
Yeah, but in this example, the MLM person would only be able to point to someone who had stole something of lesser value because there is nothing that has a failure rate that's comparable to MLM.
Exactly, yeah.
Like you said, it's indefensible. So it would be, the person who stole the Ferrari, that would be the MLM person.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, yeah, you're right, yeah.
So
yeah, there's no other business that has a 99.7% loss
Not
rate.
even close. I mean, I've used this before. Restaurant failure rate. It's here in my search history. The National Restaurant Association estimates a 20% success rate for all restaurants. About 60% of restaurants fail in their first year, and 80% fail within 5 years. So we're talking about restaurants. One of the most difficult things, there's so much competition. Food is perishable. You rely on a lot of human variables, chefs, waiters, waitresses, people trying to rob you blind. It's a very difficult business. I mean, extremely difficult. 80% fail within 5 years. And even that doesn't come close to the 99 point something annual failure rate in MLM.
Exactly, yeah. It's just, but the difference is when restaurants come off, they come off in a big way. People can get really rich from a restaurant, whereas even the 0.03% who make it an amway, a lot of those people might make it for a month or two, then they go back down to zero because everybody quits.
Exactly.
So if you're looking at the people that make money long term, it's a fraction of 1%. You're better off to buy a lottery ticket.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Like Doug Brooks said in my in Betting on Zero, you're buying a lottery. When you join MLM, you're buying a lottery ticket for a lottery that was announced yesterday. It's all the winner's already been decided.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, amazing.
Because it doesn't matter what my dad did, he was never going to get onto that stage, because the people on the stage were the people that owned that motivation company.
Of course.
Dexter Yeager's not going to let him come up on stage because Dexter Yeager's going to be on. He wants the money for himself.
Right.
Even a guy like Paul Rakavalas, he doesn't speak at those events, even though he's become a diamond. It's the guys who set up the motivational companies.
So is Paul Rakavalas your dad's direct upline?
No, I think he sponsored the guy who sponsored my dad, and my dad's sponsor also quit.
So there was compression.
Yep.
So
yeah, he
quit. Yeah.
It's interesting how my dad explains it. The guy was a school teacher who worked full-time as a school teacher, and his line always was that he doesn't like school teaching. There's no money in it, but he does it because he loves it. He does Amway because that's where the money is. And then when he quit, Dad said he quit because he inherited some money. And he also quit school teaching at exactly the same time. So he's been telling everyone for years that he was doing school teaching not because of money, and then the second he got some money, he quit school teaching. So his whole story was just completely and utterly wrong. He did school teaching because he wasn't making enough money from Amway.
Insane.
And then when he inherited money, the school teaching went straight away.
Dave Vaughn says... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, everybody quits. Even the people who used to stand up on the stage at the meetings, the success stories, they all quit.
A lot of those people are in debt too.
Exactly. There was actually a big-time AFL footballer who was part of the group too, a guy by the name of Rick Kennedy. He's also quit. He was a big sales point for them that they had an AFL footballer as part of their team. But again, yeah, he quit and he's now a finance guy.
Dave Vaughn says, my ex said, we're all brainwashed by the radio and TV to wear our seatbelt when we get in the car. It's good to be brainwashed because it's someone telling you how to find success.
Yeah, exactly. It's too silly for words, isn't it?
So, Glenn, in the future, what do you think about the future of MLM? I'm sort of torn about this because, on one hand, I feel like people are going to become more desperate for actual tangible jobs because of how, like, the potential for technology to replace people is. Like, in 50 years, we likely won't have truck drivers to transport materials because of self-driving trucks or whatever else. We're already seeing a lot of jobs be replaced. Like, 5 years ago, I remember when they started bringing in the digital kiosks at McDonald's, which replaced the cashiers with 6 different, kiosks. Same thing with the movie theater.
Yep.
There's a movie theater in my city now that has no people scooping popcorn or anything like that. The popcorn is just kept in bags in this like heat fridge, like a heat shelf basically, and you open the door and grab your bag and then you go pay for it. So I wonder if the desperation for actual making money opportunities will lead more people to MLM, or if the efficiency of technology will highlight how ridiculous the concept of MLM is. I'm not sure where it's going to go. So what do you think?
I think the desperation of people is going to mean that more people are going to join, but I think that the internet, YouTube, means that people will stay in less time because they just... In 2001, it was very hard to find information on the Amway Corporation. I mean, at the time, most people didn't have the internet. So you were pretty much just going on word of mouth from other people. And they used to laugh at that and say, oh, he's quitting because his sister's mother's brother's friend didn't make money in it 20 years ago. Whereas now you just look it up on the internet and you see 99.7% lose money. So I think people are coming and going a lot quicker because it's a lot easier to find information on the company. Because I've heard Robert Fitzpatrick talk about this. It was very hard to find information on MLMs before he got into it, and that was 97.
Right.
So now I think the information is hurting YouTube is definitely hurting the MLM companies because it's just too easy to find information out. And there's more people who know what it is now. It was interesting, actually. My stepson was taught at school about MLMs.
Wow.
And he was in disbelief. He's like, whoa, they taught us in school about that.
They taught him that it's bad.
They taught him how it works, and they taught him, I think he thought it was boring, but all he really remembered was that 99% of people lost money.
Right.
And he was like, why don't you just show your dad the data that shows 99% of people lose money? And I said, I've tried that. I've been trying that for 23 years. And he was just in disbelief that you could show somebody the data that 99.something% are losing money and the person would continue in it. But that's not going to happen in the United States of America because Betsy DeVos was the education minister. Betsy DeVos was part of the founding family of the Amway Corporation.
She's married to the CEO.
This is how much power they have, that they'll literally make somebody from the family become the education minister, which means that it's never going to be taught in schools.
Same thing with, or if it is taught in schools, it will only be spoke about favorably.
Mm-hmm, exactly,
this is like, even, I don't know if you've got to this point in Ponzinomics yet, but there's a part where Robert talks about how Kamala Harris, who was the attorney general in California when Herbalife was in trouble, Kamala Harris had the power to do something about Herbalife, but her husband was working for the law firm that defends Herbalife, so she would have to go against her own husband. And so what did she do? Yep. She let it slide.
Yeah, they're very good at that. They get people in positions of power who are involved with the company to stop things like that happening. Yep. But it's insane. It should be taught in schools because if you look at the problems that an 18-year-old's going to face in 2, 3, 4 years' time when they leave school and join the workforce, MLMs is one of them. This is one of the biggest obstacles that young people are going to face. So it's insane that it's not taught in schools.
That's why I want to start doing speaking engagements at like high schools for the graduating year classes and like first year uni students.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, that would be really good. I reckon even younger. I reckon about year 8, year 9. That's when the kids. I mean, because it's almost a case of who gets to them first. Do we get to them first, or does the MLM rep get to them first?
Yeah,
because whoever gets to them first is going to win.
I think I could get to them first.
I hope so.
You know, I'm just one guy. I don't have a network, but my YouTube videos stand alone. So those would, you know, it's not like I don't need to put out a video every day if somebody searches I mean, I can't tell you the countless messages I've got of people saying, I just got prospected for World Financial Group today, or I just put my money down and I canceled it thanks to your video. Or like I have probably saved consumers just eyeballing, like ballparking the figure in my head based on all of the countless messages and comments I've got from people on my videos about various MLM companies saying that I've stopped them from joining when they were going to put their money down. I've probably saved consumers millions of dollars in losses.
It's interesting. I remember when I first found out that 99% of people lost money, I was in disbelief. I couldn't believe it was that high. Even though I knew there was massive problems with it, I couldn't believe there was not a 99% failure rate. It's such a pity that the tragedy of it is if I had known that before Dad got really deep in, I think I could have talked him out of it. But by the time I figured out it was 99%, he was too far gone.
Yeah. You
so
should check out the book. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wish we didn't have the internet. It was 2001.
Yeah.
Most people didn't have the internet. I just wish I had the internet and could have researched the company, because I was just going on. I remember I just asked friends and family what they thought of it. And I think the problem is when you do that, people don't want to hurt your feelings. So they'll sort of tell you it's not an okay idea because they don't want to hurt your feelings. I think some of the people knew it was, like my mum said to me, she knew it was ridiculous, but she didn't want to hurt my feelings.
Wow.
And she thought that I'd figure it out. So she just left me to it. She didn't want to, say this is ridiculous, because she feared that I would then do. I guess it wasn't that silly, because I could have done to her what your friend did to you. But she just thought, they'll figure it out. They'll be out very shortly. So she was correct about me, but she was way wrong about my father.
There's a book called Freedom of Mind by Steve Hassan, and it talks about the strategic interactive approach, which is like a cult deprogramming technique. And I haven't finished the book yet, but I'm keen to finish it and have Steve on my channel to talk about MLM and cults, because the number one thing that I'm asked is, how do I get my friend out of this thing that they're already in? They've already been brainwashed. And so if there's some way that I can become certified in like counseling using strategic interactive approach, I think that would be a great service for me to provide to people. And it'd be another revenue stream for me as well. I'd be able to make money doing it, and I'd be able to help people. I could put out videos about it. I could do, group, seminars or whatever about it. And even if I didn't end up doing any of those things, knowing how to do it would definitely help me when I do debates or when I make videos too.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult though, because these people have been taught from day one that anyone who says anything negative about this company, they're jealous of you, they're a dream stealer. It's just the idea that they're being really vicious and they just want to hurt you, and that they want to stop your business.
NPAZ in my chat wants to know, what do you think of the dynamic between Peter and Scott? Do you think that Peter Mingils, is manipulating Scott because it is Peter's platform, and this is part of, like, Building Fortunes Radio is part of his lead generation business?
Yeah, it's hard to know. I think Scott means really, really well. Scott really, really, really wants to educate people about the Amway tool scam. The point where we have a disagreement is that he doesn't think there's a problem with the overall MLM structure. He thinks that the tool scam is the problem.
Right.
The tool scam is a massive, massive, massive problem, but with or without a tool scam, the MLM industry is a massive problem. This tool scam just makes it a little bit worse, not a little bit, a lot worse. And with Peter, I mean, Peter and me agree 100% on the Amway Corporation, on the Amway tool scam, but we disagree on the MLM structure. He thinks that it's a good structure. He thinks that it's a good business model, which I can't understand.
Yeah.
How he could possibly think that, because he's seen the data that 99% lose money. But he tells me that there's companies where that's not the case. But actually, I thought of a question to ask him just yesterday. Wikipedia is saying, if you look up multi-level marketing on Wikipedia, it's saying 99.6%. So if he's correct, Wikipedia is wrong.
Of course.
But yeah, he's adamant that there are companies who have a more than, a 1% success rate, but he's not going to say it because your people are going to troll those companies. But then again, even if you guys did troll them, if they had an argument, they'd be able to debate and argue the point with you. So right. I don't see the logic. If the success rate's 25%, then they could show the data, and you'd let them come on the channel, and they can show you the 25%
right.
of all our participants make a profit.
I had there's a debate on my channel that I highly, highly recommend you watch, because I'm sure it will remind you so much of convos you've had with your dad. I have a debate on my channel, not under the live tab, under the videos tab, where I debate this guy, Gary Kornegay from Primerica, and he's like the highest rank in Primerica. And he called into one of my streams 2 years ago saying how big of a fan of me he was. And that conversation we had is the most stunning example of somebody who is so deeply in the sunken place when it comes to like the logical fallacies and the blatant contradictions and lying and false equivocations. Anyways, there's one point during that debate or conversation, whatever you want to call it, where he asks me, so what percentage of people would have to succeed for me to say it's not a scam? And I thought, it's pretty interesting. I thought, if 50% is a coin flip, if I thought that I had a 50% chance of being successful in business, I probably wouldn't do whatever the business was. Restaurants, again, 80% failure rate with 80% failure rate in a 5-year span. That's way too high. So the 99%, I mean, again, it's just a stupid question that he was deflecting back at me to sort of not address the 99% failure rate. So I think you should watch that if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, I think anything that's over 50% failure rate, unless it's returns are drastic, you'd be insane to look at that opportunity. Imagine if there was a franchise fair and there was every single franchise had to have a big sign saying what the success rate was. If there was one that had a 99.7% failure rate, you wouldn't touch it.
Of course.
I mean,
of course. You wouldn't.
Simple.
Even a 50%, you wouldn't gamble your entire career and life savings and effort on a coin flip.
Exactly.
So, Glenn, is there anything you want to share with the people or ask me about or share? Could be about anything. Scott and Peter, MLM, whatever you want to, whatever.
Big question. Not really. I'm really looking forward to debating Scott Johnson on Robert Fitzpatrick, because it was interesting. He said to me that he won't talk to people like me, but Fitzpatrick has actually had lots of YouTube shows with very, very small YouTubers.
Yeah.
It's actually quite surprising. If you search, he's done a lot of really good work on YouTube, just with guys with under 100 subs.
Robert's really one of those dudes that he just wants to help, for real. I'm sure Robert has probably done thousands of phone calls privately with people where it was never even published, just people who needed help and guidance. Exactly, yeah. That's what the vibe I get too. He's not like, I'm not going to talk to you unless you've got 1,000 subscribers sort of mentality. So yeah, Scott's completely wrong on that, because he's done some really good work with really small YouTubers. Yeah, Robert Fitzpatrick is not hard to get a hold of. I mean, I would say it would be harder to convince me to go on your podcast than it would be to get Robert Fitzpatrick, only because Robert Fitzpatrick, even though he is the expert on it, he's not like making content every day. So you know what I mean? He wrote his book, he works on books, but he's definitely more giving with his time. Me, I'm like, okay, well, I could be more effective if I work on more videos.
Yeah, I think Fitzpatrick's the kind of guy, he'll do research for 3 years and then write one book.
Exactly.
Whereas a lot of them they just want to put content out day after day after day.
Ponzi-nomics, you have to imagine Ponzi-nomics is probably the culmination of 20 plus years of Robert's expertise.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yeah.
He's like an MLM academic, I'd say, whereas a lot of them are sort of more anti-MLM entertainers. They've still got lots and lots of knowledge, but he's more of the academic type.
Yeah, he knows. I mean, Ponzi-nomics, even just learning about the history in the first chapters of Carl Renborg and Neutralite and Mittinger and Castleberry and how they invented the plan, and then Neutralite being acquired by Amway, and then Amway starting the ball rolling. Like, it really is like the book really gives you, at least gave me this sense of like someone knocking over the first domino, and then you see each domino get progressively bigger, or maybe the snowball is a better example.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is a snowballing effect, isn't it? And I think the problem is the longer they get away with it, the harder it is, easier it is for them to say, well, could a scam last for this long? So, you know, in the beginning it was, now they can say, well, it's been going for 50 years, as if we wouldn't have been caught after 50 years. This is one of their big lines.
Right. Somebody in the chat asks me, Marco, are you ever going to write your own book? I am going to write my own book eventually, but it's too early. I still haven't talked to Steve Hassan. That is an important key. I don't know if I've said this publicly yet, but in the next year, I would really like to have an episode on my channel, an interview with Harry Markopolos. Do you know who that is, Glenn?
No, I must admit I haven't heard of him, no.
Harry Markopolos is the guy who discovered the Madoff Ponzi scheme.
Oh, yes, I do know who he is. Yeah, he was writing to the FTC incessantly, and they were laughing at him.
Yes, so he announced, he sent the full investigation, the full report to the SEC 10 years before Madoff was actually found out. He sent them a document, I think it was called "The World's Biggest Investment Firm is a Ponzi Scheme." That was the title of it. And he showed,
and they thought it was hilarious. Yeah.
And they laughed him out of the building because Madoff was so well connected, and he has interviews where he talks about how he like started wearing disguises and carrying a gun because he knew that his information was so solid, and he thought that if he was being ignored, it must mean that Madoff already has those people in his pocket, and so he was worried about like Madoff sending assassins to try to kill him. So and now because of Harry Markopolos is the guy, he's the reason that the SEC now has a whistleblower program, and he has made a career off of it. So now his whole career is doing like deep dives on companies and having whistleblowers from inside the companies, like General Electric. He's been going at GE now for a couple of years.
I would love to see him take on the Amway Corporation.
Oh,
I'd love to see you interview him. That would be amazing. You and him.
Yeah.
Interview with you and him would be unbelievable.
I know. He has a book that I just downloaded actually on my Audible. I think it's called No One Would Listen. Hard ass title. That's a gangster title, bro. And Harry Markopolos, he's the reason the SEC has the whistleblower program. So now his whole career is, for the people who don't know, the SEC whistleblower program, if you give the SEC information that leads to them having like a seizure of funds from a big company, you're entitled to, I think it's 1/3 of the money.
Oh, wow.
So if they, I could be wrong on the amount, but it is a substantial portion. So you can imagine Markopolos going after things like the Madoff Ponzi scheme, General Electric, like multi-billion-dollar companies. If he finds
Amway's a bigger, is far worse than what Bernie Madoff was.
Oh no, I know.
Bernie Madoff went after people that had money who were just literally just parking money.
Yeah.
Amway goes after people at the absolute bottom who are at the worst possible part of their life, and they take advantage of it. Amway is far worse than what Bernie Madoff was.
Yeah. So, I mean, I need to get my relationships right with those people. Steve Hassan, Harry Markopolos, perhaps even Bill Ackman. I think maybe he's not as...
I was thinking that before. I would love you to interview Bill Ackman.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Well,
that would make my day.
It's not a crazy possibility. I mean, Ackman was in Betting on Zero. I know Robert and Doug and Bill Keep, who were all in that movie. So they all have the contact information for the producers of that film. So I mean, the degrees of separation, you know somebody who knows somebody. I'm sure I could make it happen. But yeah, Dave Vaughn in my chat is correct. We need to shut Primerica down first. And that is the big, that is my flagship piece of content for this year that I will be focusing on in the second half of 2023. So, yeah.
I just had a big thought. Leah Remy, you know the lady who went after Scientology?
Yeah, Leah Remini, yep.
Yep. She then had lots and lots of people contact her saying, you've got to look at Jehovah's Witness because this is just the same. We need to do the same. We need to contact her and urge her to look at the MLM industry. I would can you imagine her doing the same investigations on Scientology and Jehovah's Witness as the MLM industry? And that would get, at the moment, I think we have a bit of only sort of preaching to the converted. This would be preaching to the unconverted.
Yeah, MLM needs the spotlight more than any of those other things, I think.
Yeah, I think we need to figure out what her email address is and just urge every single one of your followers, please email her, because that would be amazing if she could go after the MLM industry with the same passion that she did these other two things, because MLM has more victims than those other two do.
It's not even comparable.
Yeah, this is a bigger story. MLMs is a much bigger story.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go that route of trying to contact people. I think what I'm going to do is continue to do the work I'm doing and raise my profile to the point that it becomes undeniable that those people that I named and who you named, Leah Remini, they all have to sort of come. Maybe I will be the Leah Remini of MLM, even though as Dominic loves to say, I was never in one, and Peter and Scott, I was never in one. But yeah,
I think the problem with the mainstream media is the mainstream media are very scared of the MLM industry.
Of course.
Not so much now, but the fact that the Amway Corporation could actually get Welcome to Life banned, if you ever look at it, there was no reason to ban that movie. But that's how much power they had. They had the power to block a documentary, and then from that minute, everybody became really scared of them and wouldn't touch it. So if you contacted, a talkback radio station and talked about Amway, they'd say, oh, we agree with you, but it's too risky to put that on air.
Yeah.
That's sort of the power and influence they had, that people they knew you were right, but they were scared. Because I remember I actually go on talkback radio a lot just as a caller and ring in, and I could not get any radio station to talk about the MLM industry. They'd be like, yeah, we agree, you're right, but that's too risky. They'll sue us.
Yeah. That's the sort of thing that I'm working on right now, is I have to accept that I'm going to be sued profusely if I'm continuing this work. And so I've been trying to do as much work as I can on learning how to represent myself in a civil case, because if I'm likely going to be sued for the same things over and over again, which is defamation, copyright. Those are the things I'm going to be sued for. So if I can effectively defend myself one single time against it, then I will have precedent for the next time it happens.
There's actually an Australian YouTuber. He's the biggest political YouTuber in Australia. He's called Friendly Geordies.
Okay.
What he's famous for is being sued by politicians.
Wow.
Heaps and heaps of politicians have sued him. Heaps of politicians have ranted about him in Parliament. But the more times they sue him, the more famous he becomes. So I think he actually likes being sued because it's actually good for his brand.
So does he have enough? Does he hire lawyers, or does he do it by himself?
No, he hires lawyers. He's got 1.2 million subscribers. He's also had his house firebombed. His house has been firebombed twice. So in Australia, this guy's a pretty.
Oh, I heard about this deal. Actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the number of politicians that have taken him to court sued him, and they just get in Parliament. They will literally rant about him, and he will sit there watching it and laugh at them.
Madness.
But yeah, I think you could become a bit like him. But I think if you're not being sued as an anti-MLM YouTuber, you're probably not doing a good job, is how I would view it.
That I'm not going to go to jail?
No, if you're not being sued.
Oh, yeah.
If the companies aren't angry enough for you to sue you, then you're not doing a good job, is how I would view it. Oh,
God, dude. Me getting sued was such a mark of recognition that I was causing enough problems for the company that, it's a beautiful thing.
And that's exactly what Friendly Geordie says. He says, if you're a political commentator and you're not being sued, well, you're not very good at it.
Bars.
Because you're not exposing anybody, or you're not doing enough to make them want to shut you up.
Totally. Damn.
No
Well, Glenn, I appreciate you being here with me on the call.
Yeah, it's been an honor. I'm one of your biggest fans.
Thank you, bro.
I've got two things I want to do. I want to convince my dad that Amway's a scam,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to convince Peter and Scott that you're a great YouTuber.
Appreciate that. I can't speak to Scott and Peter because I think they're pretty dead set on their view on me. But for your dad, maybe check out that book, Freedom of Mind. See if it maybe helps.
I think I'm more likely to win over Scott and Peter than my dad, to be honest.
Well,
which is saying
it's not going to be an easy task either way.
But I'll keep trying.
Appreciate you, bro.
Awesome. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Glenn. You have a great night, bro.
You too.
Peace out. Glenn, everybody. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That was fun. Glenn is a great guest. Wow. Glenn drives the train, yeah. Happy birthday, NPAZ. Hey, NPAZ, happy birthday. Yes, sir. Christian says, listening to Marco and Glenn talk to each other is like when Jimmy Neutron crossed with Timmy Turner. Revolutionary. So funny. Wow. I would love to have backing from Ackman or someone of the like, maybe Harry Markopoulos. But, yeah, we'll see what happens, y'all. All in good time. Appreciate all the support, y'all. I will see you guys in the Discord. Happy birthday, Alex, as well. And put the Discord link there. There is links in my description to Ponzinomics audiobook and physical copy for for Canada and the US. If you would like to purchase the book, I highly recommend it. It is the most mind-blowing, comprehensive book about multi-level marketing that exists. It's my Amazon affiliate links, so I could earn from the purchases you make. So that is if you want to support the anti-MLM ting, me, Robert Fitzpatrick, get him some bag, get me some bag, get you some knowledge. I can't believe I don't have that sound effect in here. Yeah. Appreciate you guys. Yeah. Peace.
Marco.
Oh, shit, Jared, you came back just for the end.
Obama.
That's the way the cookie crumbles. Peace out.